I know. I almost forgot what song we were using since it's been
That's right. That's right.
Well, we couldn't not do this, right?
No, we had to use this one. This was the one to use.
Yes, of course.
I'm still sad. I was going to look to get Aquafina's version of this, but I didn't have time. I'm sad.
We'll have to settle for the Eagles then. What's up, everybody? Welcome to a brand new episode of Granny's Peach Tea. We are at episode 32, believe it or not. And I know it's been a little bit. We had a little bit of a break, but listen, life got in the way for a little while. But we're friggin' jacked up to be back today.
We're back. We got a lot, baby. We got a lot to dive into, and I'm excited.
This song still hasn't started either. That's kind of crazy. You know, but
there we go. There we go.
It is Hotel California by the Eagles, and if you've seen Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings, you damn well know why we're using it. But thanks for joining us, whether it's on our Facebook stream, you're joining us on YouTube, Instagram, or Twitter, or the audio-only version, or wherever the heck you found us. Thank you for that. We appreciate all the support, as always. And with me, as always, is my man Jason. Jason, what is up, dude?
Hey, Ed, good to be back. Good to be back in studio, virtual studio. I'm excited for tonight's show, man. I am excited for tonight's show.
We've been chomping at the bit for some of these things for a while now.
We have been. You've been getting my text for Titans, like, oh my god, I can't, like.
Yeah, no, that show's been really unreal, man. But thanks for joining us, and we appreciate it. Jason, I know you have some super exciting news. We're going to take a break from Unhassling the Hoff this week because Jason has some personal news that he really needs to share. Yeah, and I'm pretty excited too.
Instead of unhassling the Hoff, I'm going to give you a little snippet. So some of you guys, as I've mentioned before, you listeners know that I have a young son. He's a year and a half. So I had the weekend with him about 2 weeks ago. And I've been trying to get him to watch Batman the Animated Series with me, right? And when he was younger, he'd sort of look at it and fine. But he got really into it to the point where when he wants more, he does this like sign language thing. At the end of every episode, he'd be like, more. And I was like, and so then we took a break and I was like, well, buddy, what do you want to watch? And he goes, points at the TV and he goes, Batman. And I was like, my son just said Batman for the first time. It was, I mean, seriously, it melted my little geek heart. And it was just such an amazing father-son moment with my son. And even today, my wife has shorts with just the bat signal on it. And he's pointing to that going Batman. So he knows what Batman is.
That is awesome. When did this happen, if you don't mind me asking? Like, did it happen yesterday?
No, it happened. It happened not this weekend, but the weekend before, because my wife had to go away, and I had my son for the whole weekend. So that's when he had said it.
Okay, because I was like, man, if that happened on Batman Day yesterday,
oh, that would have been fantastic.
I don't know. I would have maybe handed the show over to him and said, listen, I'm done. I'm hanging him up.
Well, if he's ever up late enough for me to bring him on, I'll just bring him on to just tell us Batman, and that's it. That'll be a segment.
that's phenomenal. I absolutely love it. But yeah, let's get into it, man. Because like we said, we've been off for a little bit, so we got some stuff to get to. We're gonna kick off with the DC Legends of Tomorrow season 6 finale. Jason, you're our guy to take us through it. So what's up? What did you think of the finale of Legends of Tomorrow?
I can't believe I'm saying this, and I still love the show, but I was disappointed by this finale. I thought it was a very finale. Like, pretty much just the highlights. I'm not going to go into it too much, but Mick leaves to go be a dad, which we all knew was going to happen. Constantine lives, which means he's coming back. Like, he'll be Constantine again at some point. Mm-hmm. I called that he was going to be key for the Fountain of Imperium, right, to bring it back. But I think ultimately the ending was just like, things just happen. Like, the Fountain's not going to help them, and then it decides last minute it does because Captain Lance and Sarah and Ava get married. And as much as the ally part of me loves the idea that a same-sex wedding saves the world, I didn't see the connection about why them getting married at the end, while all of these aliens, the ziggurats or whatever, are coming to kill them, why that inspired the Fountain of Imperium, because it was rightfully pissed that humans tried to kill them. So I just didn't understand the connection between the end. So unfortunately, although I still love the season, I think it just did not stick the landing. It was not a very good finale, in my opinion.
Yeah, I didn't really care for it either. I felt like the last couple of episodes leading towards the finale, as much as I enjoyed season 6, like it started getting whatever. And I admitted why. I've said it here.
Yeah.
I didn't really care for the Constantine thing and them turning him, for you to use a wrestling term, heel or into like a bad guy. But, whatever.
Yeah.
They I don't know, the whole him coming back with the white coat and the white shirt and everything like that, I thought that was kind of goofy. And for this show, I thought it was goofy.
Yeah, that's the thing is, I give this show a lot of leeway because it is it is goofy, right? And I'm a big proponent of, I will set up the rules of your universe and I will believe whatever they are, no matter how ridiculous. But then you have to abide by them. And I just don't. I feel this was too goofy. It was just too, and it was goofy in a non-fun, unconnected way. Things happen that don't make sense. Like, it can be goofy, and this show has been goofy, but it's always made sense.
Yeah, this was just, like you said, you put it perfectly, though, Jason. Things just started happening without any real explanation whatsoever. Because all their goofiness, they do kind of cover their bases and explain why. We could not agree with it, but at least there's explanation.
Exactly, like the finale where they were in the Old West and they called upon the spirit of that doll to become huge, and that's fucking ridiculous. But Bebo, that was it.
We got no Bebo this season.
No, we didn't. That was a bit disappointing.
Shitty.
Yeah,
I just thought of that.
But that made sense in its own internal logic, and I don't think this episode made sense with the show's internal logic. And then the way Bishop was killed, like the aliens ate him, and Gary was like, "Oh, didn't I mention that?" And it's like, but Gary should, writing wise, that should have been mentioned a long time ago. And then as a throwaway joke, like, Mick, you don't want to be around them when you give birth. They eat the first thing they see. And then the funnier joke at this point would have been Gary going, "I told you so." Yeah. But now I'm rewriting the show and nitpicking. I guess I'm just disappointed because I really did love this season. I really love this show. And it was a disappointment. I was really disappointed.
My personal takeaway of what just was said was the fact that I knew for a fact, when we started this show, that you were going to love Legends of Tomorrow. I knew it. And you do.
Yep.
And that's why we're being critical of the finale, because we both really enjoy the show.
Mm-hmm.
And they didn't stick the landing, which is fine. I mean, that does happen. It's not the end finale. We're getting a season 7.
Yeah, right, exactly. It's not the end of the show. It's and it was, look, I thought it was a solid season. I think I liked it a bit more than you did, but I don't think by much. I think there were just a couple of episodes that you didn't like that I did.
Yeah.
But it had a bad season finale. You know what? It's better than having a bad season.
It's true. I mean, here's looking at you, Flash. Or so far, Supergirl. I mean, and this is your last season, so we'll get to you in a second. All right, so we'll look forward to season 7, which I think actually will probably get jump started in a couple of months, because I already saw their advertising for the next season of Batwoman. That's coming in October. Yeah. It's coming next month.
That's crazy.
So I mean, you got to figure Legends isn't that far behind. So yeah, I think due to COVID, we're probably going to get the shows back pretty quickly.
Yeah, and hopefully they won't have, because you got to remember too, the beginning of all of these seasons, they were dealing with the lockdown and COVID and stuff, and I think that's why honestly that's where Supergirl went awry. I just don't think it never got back on track from COVID kind of screwing it up, Yeah. And hopefully the shows that are coming back, they don't have that issue, because we haven't really been in lockdown.
Yeah, that's true. All right, so let's go ahead and keep it rolling along. We got Stargirl. We were 2 episodes behind, but the overall notes on this, pretty much, we get Cindy using a black diamond on her teacher, like in episode 5, where she is pretty much makes her teacher a vessel for Eclipso. So we get Eclipso at that point. Her teacher vomits this paint and starts painting Eclipso everywhere, which I thought was a little bit weird. But pretty dark though, because as much as this show is very Americana, like, Stargirl, this and that, and about teenagers in high school, it gets really, really like horror movie level at that point. I thought Eclipso, that whole thing has been that. So we get that. Then we get a pretty cool fight between Eclipso and a JSA, which Eclipso pretty much hands on their ass in that episode. Icicle's son and mother become a little bit more involved. And it was this weird, creepy dynamic, which I'm not really... It's between Stargirl and Icicle's son, because he just seems... I can't put my finger on it. I don't know. He's very, like, dark and... I don't know.
Brooding?
Like brooding. And it's like, you're bringing this to her and you're getting upset with her because she keeps disappearing.
Yeah.
I actually don't blame her. I would get out of there too. I'm kind of like, listen, guy, I'll be back in a time.
Yeah, I agree. It's a weird dynamic because they were doing the love interest thing, right? And
that's what I thought they were doing. But why is he's just acting so weird?
Yeah, I agree. It's very strange.
And then they kind of hint at Icicle's mother at a couple of points where she's giving like these weird looks and she has like cold breath or her eyes keep going.
Yeah, no,
I haven't really paid that off yet.
I have that note, but I trust the show to pay it off.
Yeah, I do.
I don't like. I've been very happy. I think this season's been killing it so far.
No, I'm enjoying the season. I was just we're because it's like they throw it out there.
Yeah,
a couple of things, and then all of a sudden it's never talked about again in the episode.
Right, exactly. And I had that note. Icicle's mom has his power? ?
Yeah.
But yeah, and I actually really did like Icicle's son versus Cindy, like when they have that showdown, right? Because Cindy thinks that was cool, and she was going to kill him. She had her knife behind her back.
Yeah. She's evil, man. We knew that from last season, but like she's stepping it up now with this whole Eclipso stuff.
She really is. Yeah, absolutely. She's insane.
And I just thought the dynamic with Courtney has just been kind of weird. Like with Icicle's son. That was basically my focus of episode 5. But then and the shade is kind of weaving in and out. I like him. I'm in.
I'm loving the shade. I realized if I was a character in this show, I would be the shade.
Yes, I can see that.
You're right. I have a personality like that. I can be kind of condescending. I kind of like to dress like that. I enjoy doing an English accent.
Oh, we got to get the names up and just put you as the shade, and that's it. We'll just keep that rolling.
That's it. I actually wish I would have thought to do that before the show.
Be the shade.
Be the shade. All right then.
No, but in episode 6 though, we actually get to see Eclipso, who very much resembles the Green Goblin, by the way.
He does. He's like really? if the Wishmaster and the Green Goblin had a son.
That is perfect, and
I'm
so excited that we brought in Wishmaster. If Burr ever sees this, he's gonna be super jacked up because Burr loves Wishmaster.
Wishmaster's a great movie. That is prime B movie. Like I love. Oh,
absolutely. Yeah, but that's a horror movie. We're talking about that. I think the first one got the theatrical release, and they rolled straight to video after that because that was one of those franchises that got like 1,000 direct-to-video sequels.
Right, exactly. Where they couldn't even get the guy back, like Davidoff, I think, the guy who played the Wishmaster. Yeah. He's in like the first 2 or 3, and then it's like someone else.
Yeah, which is saying something because like Candyman, they got Todd to keep coming back, and Wishmaster couldn't. All right, enough of Wishmaster.
Yeah. Anyway, as much as we love, that'll be our next podcast, the Wishcast.
Yeah, we'll do a horror movie thing at some point. So in this episode, though, she starts assembling more, and we see the new JSA versus the new ISA.
Yeah,
that's a big showdown.
I love that fight.
I know that fight was fantastic in episode 6. Did you notice, by the way, which I don't think they've given her a villain name yet, but Sportsmaster's kid it said ISA on her backpack.
Oh no, I missed that.
Yeah, I was like, oh, what is that?
Although I did question. I did question where she got like her gear. Like that was a question I had. Like I'm not gonna go crazy because again, I actually really fucking liked this episode. I really enjoyed this episode. But there were a couple things where I'm like, I don't know if I buy that. But all right, I'll let it go. And that was one of them.
I'll roll with the punches on something.
Right. I mean, and also too, like she's fighting Our Man. And like Our Man's got superpowers. He is super strong, and
Yes.
he puts her head through not one but 2 urinals.
Yes,
and she
he's
gets
not
up.
holding back.
No, and I'm like, does she have superpowers? Because she should be dead.
Yeah, it takes a little bit more than just being in really good shape and working out to go toe to toe with Our Man. Which, by the way, I have my questions about Our Man's thing. By the way, I do have some questions about that. When does he start that thing? Like, is it right before the fight? He should be flipping it over to make sure that he has these powers, because it would be pretty embarrassing if in the middle of the fight suddenly the thing runs out and he gets his ass kicked.
That's true. That's true. I guess he Stargirl goes in and she's like, "They're not here yet. Don't flip it." Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, listen. Can we do the hour? Right. We're good. No, we got 10 minutes. All right. Our Man. Let's go. You're up.
Yeah.
No, I get the concept of Our Man. I think it's kind of cool that it's like the power is so strong. We don't want someone to have it all the time. It's too out of control. We want to limit it to an hour. But I don't know. When that fight started, it made me start thinking. I was like, when does the clock start ticking on this hour? I mean, I don't know.
I had the same thought, to be honest. Like,
all right, good. I'm not the only one. I thought I was being a dick.
Because when it started, I went, what if this, I just assumed, okay, he just turned it on right away. But I was thinking, what if this fight took longer than an hour? What would he do?
What if they ran away and they're like, listen, I mean, I'm going to run away from this guy for about the next 40 minutes, and then the second hour, I'm going to kick his ass.
Right, exactly.
That would be pretty.
I mean, we're kind of taking the piss out of this, but it was a great episode.
No, it was a really cool episode. I enjoyed the fight. The fight went on for a while too. That was a pretty wild fight.
It did, and I'll tell you something. I usually don't like long, involved fights like that. If it goes on too long, I kind of get bored. But I didn't with this. I really enjoyed the way it's so. At first, they were all fighting together, and then they all split off to do their own thing with each villain. And then Dr. Midnight was doing her thing. I liked how she kind of fucked with Sportsmaster's daughter. Mm-hmm. By putting up the wanted posters, projecting them. I thought that was awesome. So, everyone got to do something, and then it was exciting because it wasn't one-sided. The JSA mopped the floor with the ISA by the end, but they were going back and forth and toe to toe, and I thought that they really did that well because as it was going along, I was like, okay, who is going to win this fight? Because I don't know where this is going. And I thought that was super cool.
Yeah, and then we actually get to see Eclipso in person and forms a whole thing. Not too thrilled with Cindy.
No,
really not too thrilled with Cindy.
He kills her.
Yeah.
Or maybe not. Maybe not. Maybe she's. We'll see. But he does kill.
He kills her for now. Yeah.
But he does kill Isaac, the violin player. And I thought I was disappointed because I actually was really enjoying him.
Yeah, I honestly didn't really care for the fiddler. I think whatever. I guess we're just gonna call him a fiddler because his father was the fiddler. I didn't really care for him until this episode when they showed what his power can do.
Me too.
And I'm like, oh shit, okay. They're showing it it's actually happening, and I'm like, damn, he's really fucking them up.
Right, he did some damage. So that's why they killing him in this episode. I was like, oh, I kind of wanted to see more of that.
Yeah. So clearly, Eclipso's not too thrilled with the new ISA, and we'll see where the hell that takes us from here.
And he almost kills the Shade. We don't know what happens to the Shade, but he fucks him up.
They better not kill the Shade.
No, not yet. Not yet. I mean, if they got to kill him, it's got to be at the end in a very good way. My favorite line of this episode, though, was when Sportsmaster's daughter, I can't remember her name. I love her name. Oh, Artemis Croc, was one of the best names ever. She doesn't even need a name. She's just Artemis Croc. That's her villain name. But when her and Isaac go to jump Pat and destroy Stripe, and Isaac's fucking him up, and she goes, "Oh, stop! That's my dad's friend." I just love that. I guess in a sick way, Pat is friends with Sportsmaster.
Yeah, in a way. I mean, he wanted to train him and all of that. He was down.
Right, and they had that moment when he helped them go see Artemis when they broke out of prison, right? When he said, if things were different, I really think we could have been friends. I thought it was going to I thought that's where it was going, And so I thought that was a really cool moment.
No, it was. And we got Jonathan chiming in here. We'll probably see Artemis team up with the JSA in later episodes.
Agreed.
That's a good call.
I agree. That. Yeah. Because she's not evil. She's just angry that her parents are gone, and who wouldn't be?
Yeah, and in episode 5, though, it was something that brought me back to what you had said on this show previously, is that they do literally lay it out there with Courtney had says it when she's talking to the Shade, like, yeah, there's a difference between being evil and being bad, and that's where some people are lie, and Artemis seems to land in that area,
right,
as well as the Shade, because, the Shade I can also see teaming up with the JSA, down the line also. Yeah, throughout the season.
He's like a Magneto type. Like, if we're aligned, I'll help you. If you stand against me, I'll fuck you up. But, nothing personal. It's all business. And I think that's the Shade.
That's a really good comparison, actually. I never thought about that. Magneto and the Shade. I can totally see that.
Yeah, I can't. It just came to me now. I can't believe that I'm actually comparing Magneto to the like. Not nothing wrong with the Shade. Magneto is.
We hold Magneto in very high.
Yeah, he's like one notch under Doom for me.
Yeah, I can see that. We got anything else on Stargirl, or we want to keep it rolling?
Let's just keep it rolling. I'm excited to see where it's going. It's been killing it so far, and as long as it just keeps doing what it's. I did have one more thing. I'm sorry, just tiny little nitpick. Cindy uses Pat's son as bait, and that's why she's been teasing that they have the picture. I was like, that kind of seems like a cheat, like, to the audience, like. Why would here are the pictures of all the people I'm going to get to help me and my bait. Like, why would you have that?
Yeah, I know something. I'm glad you brought that up because I'm not going to lie, that slipped my mind for a second. That was pretty disappointing. That was pretty disappointing.
Because, like, they didn't have to, I didn't see how they were going to make him one of the ISA, but they teased it and I wanted to see it. Because they put it in my head. They incepted it in my head, and then they just didn't follow through on it. I feel kind of cheated about that. I'm over it, but I just wanted to bring that up.
I thought that they were going to tap into it because they kept on, like, really talking about how he wasn't being included in stuff and he wasn't being taken seriously. And I thought the ISA was going to be like, oh, yeah, come join us. We have a place for you.
That's what I thought, too.
We can make you feel powerful. But...
That's what I thought too, but it was never on the table. You're just bait, and it's like, well, that's not exciting. That's just normal everyday superhero stuff.
Yeah, pretty much.
So
Jonathan also, I really want to find out where. Yeah, I think it's like I said previously. I think it's in some sort of like Shade world or whatever the hell it is, because it seemed like that's where he was when we saw him, or something. Wherever the Shade's power originates from is what I gathered from where the hell Dr. Midnight is, but he's also going to play a role at some point because we know he'll be back, and I'm sure he'll probably save the day or save maybe the new JSA's asses.
Yeah. That's probably how they're going to wind up beating Eclipso, because Eclipso's like a god. Like the he like single-handedly sweeps the floor with the JSA. They didn't stand a chance. Like Stargirl hurts him, but it disables the staff. Like she can't, she's useless with it. Not useless, but she is not as powerful. She's useless against Eclipso without the staff.
A lot of her power, originates from the cosmic staff. I mean, without that, she doesn't have superpowers and stuff like that.
Right,
She's
exactly.
kind of just like an athletic person.
Right. But so I think Dr. McNider is going to come back and be a pivotal role in figuring out how to get rid of Eclipso. And again, I think I just want to repeat my thing. I think we're going to find out that the Shade was trying to help him get his daughter back, and it got messed up, and that's why he's stuck where he is. Like, I don't think the Shade did it on purpose.
Yeah, I can see that. But all right, let's keep it rolling here. Supergirl, season 6, episodes 10 and 11. From episode 10, I think my highlights were the healthy eating PSA, by the way, from Brady and Supergirl was pretty funny.
That was funny.
That was really funny.
Especially considering like Brainy's thing is being an overeater with junk food. Like, as much as I'm not enjoying this season, Brainy is always delightful. The actor, I love the actor. I love the character. Like, I've never been disappointed with things they do with him.
Yeah, and honestly, I guess I do feel that way regarding Supergirl herself also. Like, I really like the character, but they're just not giving her anything to do for most of this season.
Right.
She
right.
is Supergirl. Like, let's go.
Yeah, and like again, she doesn't like for this episode we're talking about. She doesn't do much.
No, not really. Like, she really hasn't done that much this season in general.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think the overall things too is that we do get Mixie because we get at the end of episode 10. Mixie is back. Is back at the end because his cousin brings him back.
Which I like that. I did. Well, actually, yeah.
So Supergirl calls upon him. Yeah.
So because what happens is like, and I just want to just go over this for a second because apparently it's going to be important. But the return of the circus guy from the time travel episode. Haven't we all been waiting for that? Why are you bringing me one-off stupid villains? Like I like them.
Virtually nothing.
Who did nothing? They were fun in their one-off show. Those 2 episodes were probably my favorite from the season. But like, why is he back? And then he helps Nixie trap Supergirl, and then but then that leads to her calling Mixelplix, and he comes and that it's nice to have him back. I really like that actor they got for him. He's a lot of fun.
No, he's great. He's hilarious and like everything he does. But so just gloss over episode 10, which I really didn't care about too much, honestly.
Oh, I've said everything I'm going to say about it.
Yeah, episode 11 was a lot better than episode 10. Mm-hmm. So we can focus on that one. Mixie's singing "I Will Survive."
That was funny.
It was actually pretty great.
That was funny. Yeah, I mean, actually, everything with Mixie was good.
Yes.
This is the first episode of Supergirl this season that I've been like, this is closer to the Supergirl I like and remember. This was fun, and I think part of it is Mixie. That guy brings a lot to it. He is a lot of fun. He joins up with them, and they have to protect him, and there was just a lot. And the giant kitten, when Nixie brings in the 5th dimension giant kitten for them to fight. Did you just
Okay, all right. I want to talk about the giant kitten for a second. Are we okay with this giant kitten thing, or did you roll your eyes? Because I feel like this is something Legends could have gotten away with, and we wouldn't have batted an eye. Are we okay with Supergirl doing this? I'm gonna say
yes for 2 reasons. One, because it was fun, and I miss fun in Supergirl. Okay. Fair. Because fun went into the Phantom Zone and hasn't come back for a while. And 2, like Mixelplix, Mr. Mixelplix, and Nixie, like these imps, they are agents of chaos that operate outside on almost legend rules, and they have established that with Mixie, like in the past. He's not done anything that crazy, but like his 2 episodes are bonkers.
Yes.
So I'm gonna give them the pass on it. I did appreciate, and I know this was stupid, but I did appreciate how they beat it. Was Supergirl put on a light show?
I was definitely in my notes about how that happened, and I wanted to know where we were going with this because I wasn't sure how to feel about this, but I see your point, and I think I'm with you.
Yeah, it was stupid, but like, look, if we were in like season 4 of Supergirl, right, and this showed up, I'd be like, this is a bit ridiculous, but. Look, it was funny. I laughed. I haven't really been enjoying a lot of Supergirl. I enjoyed this, so I'm gonna be kind.
Yeah. All right. All right. Did you catch the pun? Or nobody put the Dirty Dancing pun, and nobody putting baby in the corner?
No, I missed it.
Yeah, I think who was it? I think it was. Was it Brainy? I think Brainy said something about nobody puts this person in the corner. And I was like, "Yep, that just happened."
That's all right. I'll take from Brainy. I'll take it. From Brainy,
yes, from Brainy, it's fine. The whole Lena Luthor thing that we got this week,
weird.
I did not like that at all. I thought it sucks.
Where did it like? So
she's a witch. She's a good descendant of a witch.
Yeah, so I'm gonna ask you a question because I don't remember this season of Supergirl as much as I remembered other things. Has this been where did this come from? Because it seemed like it was out of nowhere for me. And did I miss? Okay.
Completely out of nowhere.
Okay.
This was never hinted at any point ever before.
Okay.
And now we find out Lena is a descendant of a witch, and her mother is played by the same actress.
Oh my God.
How lazy is that?
Yeah. And they threw that line in, "Oh, you look just like your mother." And then
it is
would have paid another actor.
Oh my, dude, that really pissed me off. The whole Dreamer stuff, I honestly am not caring for the Dreamer storyline this season. The Lena stuff, now you've thrown her into a storyline I don't care about. And when I'm watching this episode, I thought of what you had said, and a couple of episodes back on here, was that this is your last season.
Right.
Let's go. We don't have time for bullshit side storylines.
Right, exactly.
I still don't know. Is Nixie really going to be the main villain of the final season of Supergirl? Where is Lex? He went to the deli and that's it. We've never heard shit about him. He went to go get a ham sandwich and still isn't back. Dude, really? Like, I'm just saying, man. Like, this show has taken certain Superman villains because there was no Superman show in the CW,
right?
And they've used them. And I've said on here before, I am dying to see John Cryer's Lex Luthor meet up with Superman on Superman and Lois.
You convinced me of that. I didn't want that. And after we kind of talked and I watched more of the John Cryer stuff, you convinced me that was a good idea.
If that's what they're saving him for, I can almost forgive them for this happening. Mixie, Mr. Mixelplex, by the way, I am glad. I think I kind of don't. I'm not on board with that. I don't want him.
No.
I don't want him anywhere near Superman and Lois.
Nope. I'm with you.
He's good here.
This was the perfect platform for Mr. Mixelplex, and I think they used him, at least right now, just the right amount. Because I look back and went, man, I kind of wish I had another episode or two of Mixelplex. He was really cool. And that's what you want. You always want to leave him wanting more. And so, perfect handling. I think Martian Manhunter, perfect for this. I could see him showing up in Superman, but I don't really need him there. Who did they do? Cyborg Superman. Actually, I thought that was pretty stupid. Do you remember that?
I don't like the way that they handled that.
That was pretty stupid. But I think for the most part, the only person I want to see in that Superman show, there are two people. I want to see John Cryer as Lex Luthor, and I wouldn't mind after this if Supergirl stops by for a visit every now and then.
No. Absolutely. She should pop in.
Because they have a relationship. And Melissa Benoist is great. Like, I want to be clear. Awesome. I know I've been shitting on this show all season, but I really liked the previous seasons, and I think she is a powerhouse of charisma. I mean, she's so good, and she really does, even in this episode, she really does embody that, like, Boy Scout Superman ideal.
Mm-hmm.
Of constant positivity and constantly wanting to do the right thing. So I don't want anyone listening to misunderstanding me. I love her and I have loved this show. And I think I'm just really bitter this year because it's the last season and this season has sucked.
Yeah, it's sucked and it's made me really honestly happy that the show is ending now. And I didn't want to feel like that. I wanted this to be a show where I'm like, fuck. It really sucks that they're ending it. But if this is what you got in the last season, then it was time. It was definitely time to wrap this thing up because it's not great. I can tell you who I don't want to see in Superman Lois and continue on after this, but unfortunately, we're going to see her in the beginning of The Flash next season.
Who?
Is David Bowie.
Oh, and she was in the David Bowie. She was in the Bowie attire.
Jason, every single time she suits up, I cringe, and I'm like, why? Why is this happening to me?
It's a bad costume choice. Like
I don't really bad.
And again, this show has been good with costumes. Like I think Martian Manhunter's costume is great. Like I've liked other costumes, but I don't know what they were thinking with this one. Is this comic books accurate?
No.
Okay.
Not that I'm aware of, at least. It better not be, because they should go back and rewrite the comics. It sucks. It sucks to no end.
It looks, it's bad.
All right.
Yeah, I mean, is there anything else? Anything else that I want to say about this episode? Nixie lets himself get absorbed. Mixie lets himself get absorbed. He kind of does the heroic thing to save the gang. But what you know what really annoyed me about this episode? And again, I know I just praised Melissa Benoist. I think
go.
Melissa Benoist, her acting was great, but I don't like the writing of it. We can't shoot her back into the Phantom Zone. Just let her kill everyone we love. Like look, I get that she was wronged, and I get you want to do the right thing. And I even grant that they tried that whole thing with Dreamer, like being Mixiplex and like trying to like take her powers. That I get it, but you took your shot and you failed, and the fate of the universe or the world or whatever hangs in the balance. Shoot this woman back to the goddamn Phantom Zone and tell her to send the fun back while she's there. All right, now I'm done.
We're gonna trade her for the fun of Supergirl.
Right, exactly.
That's a trade-off I would love to do.
Now I'm done, except that everyone will be happy to know the guy, the zookeeper, is still a part of this.
Oh, Jesus. Like, come on, man. Someone save Supergirl, and I'm talking about the writers.
Yeah, please. I mean, we're at episode 11, which means we got another... Does this go 24? 24
no,
episodes?
I think this is... Because they said half, so my guess is this goes 14 or 16. We don't have a lot left.
So we have a handful of episodes left, and it's been a mess. We spent most of the season in the Phantom Zone, and when we haven't, Supergirl's just been cooling her heels. This is... Man, what a disappointing last season.
It sucks. But we're going to hope that it picks up.
I hope so.
We have to watch these things, so we want it to get better.
I do. And again, I want this show to end strong. Every previous season before this, I really enjoyed. I want this show to end well. It's just frustrating.
Yeah, that's the only way to put it. But a show that's not frustrating at all so far is What If. We're gonna hit on both of the last episodes because again we've been off for a little while. But let's talk about we got our Marvel Zombies episode.
We did,
which I really enjoyed the shit out of.
I did too. It is
really enjoyed it.
One of my favorites to date.
Yeah.
Of the What If episodes. And I'll tell you what I really appreciated about it is how grounded it was in the movies. You know, and they're all grounded in the movies, but like this takes place like the Hulk falls to Earth through the roof of the Sanctum Sanctorum, and you know Thanos is coming. There's no one there. You know, I mean, that was just so, and like as I know it's a zombie episode, so I know what's going on, but it was so eerie and it was so cool, like the setup of it. So I really enjoyed this one.
Yeah, I was curious to know, like, when we knew we were getting Marvel Zombies, I'm curious to know where they were going to insert this into the MCU. And I loved the fact that that's where they started it off. And the biggest storyline that we've known to date was Infinity War. And they're like, no, we're going to take a left turn, and we're going to take you into fucking zombies. And this is what happened when Bruce came back from just watching Thanos kick his ass and kill Loki and do all this other shit. Now I'm dealing with zombies.
Yep, I thought it was such an awesome moment to choose. And honestly, I loved how they justified it. Like, it wasn't zombies. Like, yes, it was zombies for the audience, but it was like, you know, the Janet Van Dyne gets the parasite, which, you know, hijacks her brain and makes her, you know, attack Hank Pym when he goes to get her from the negative zone or whatever it is, the quantum zone. Quantum realm. And then he attacks, you know, the Paul Rudd and Hope Van Dyne did, like, and it just was so believable the way they set it up. And then when the Watcher goes, and ironically, what sealed humanity's fate was when the Avengers stepped up, and you just see them get picked off.
Yeah, they completely get wiped out right there, and you're like, holy shit. And then obviously, what's cool, what's pretty unique about Marvel Zombies is that we actually get super powered zombies, which in other zombie films and shows we don't get at all. Now, that's what makes these zombies even more powerful, is they actually have like Iron Man's suit and the shield, and they're conscious and can actually still function enough to do those kind of things.
Yeah, because again, they're not undead. They're not traditional zombies. They have this virus which has, you know, done something to their brain, but they still know how to use their powers. Like, because why? Of course they would. They still know how to walk, don't they?
And what makes them zombies is they're eating flesh. They're eating people. I mean, the first thing that we see, which starts playing almost out like Infinity War, is when it was so awesome where, you know, Bruce Banner's there and he thinks Iron Man and Doctor Strange and Wong are showing up, and they do, but then they decide to go ahead and eat part of the Black Order. And you're like, he's like, oh, well, that's a little bit extreme. I mean, we didn't really need to go there. And the MVP of the episode is the Cape.
Yes, I texted you that when I didn't think I was going to be on this show.
You're 100%
I texted
right.
you. The Cape is the MVP. The Cape needs its own zombie fighting show because the Cape single-handedly saves Bruce Banner because the Black Order that gets half-eaten rises up as zombies, and they still got their powers. And I forget his name, but the gangly dude who has the levitation, like completely about to, he gets Banner, and he's bringing him. And Banner has nothing to do, and the Hulk is not coming out, which I liked because it made sense in context. I think that's how they justify Bruce Banner actually being in danger, is the Hulk won't come out, And then the Cape comes out and saves him. And that's not it. The Cape continues to save everyone throughout the entire freaking episode.
The Cape was the R2-D2 of this episode, essentially, and just saving everyone's ass constantly. So let's talk about Spidey's video, by the way.
Perfect.
Spider-Man, Peter Parker making the pretty much how to survive the zombie apocalypse.
Yep. The training video. I love that. Yes. I was just showing him the training video.
That whole thing was hilarious. And can I also say that this is the first medium that I'm aware of where we got a zombie-themed episode or movie or anything where they're aware that zombie movies exist in their reality. Because Walking Dead, anything else,
the Romero
nobody's
films.
ever heard of zombies. The Romero films, no one's ever heard of zombies before. This one, they acknowledge that zombie films actually exist.
Right.
That was cool.
It was cool, and I really think it was perfect because it felt like we were watching a Spider-Man movie in that moment, Yes. Because that's the kind of shenanigans you get up to in those Spider-Man movies. And of course Spider-Man is like, well, you guys have never seen a zombie movie? You guys never seen don't you have horror movies in Wakanda?
Yeah, no, by the way, her response is great. She's like, nope, so we don't need horror movies. We have like
American reality television. And
I thought that was great.
As someone whose wife binge watches, which means I binge watch 90 Day Fiance and stuff like that, she is right.
I am one who hates reality TV, and thankfully Angie does too. So I thought that was priceless.
It is great. And by the way, I love that she is among the survivors. Okoye, right?
Okoye, yeah.
I love that she's one of the survivors, and she was almost MVP. She only gets beaten out because the Cape saves everyone, and so there was no way the Cape wasn't going to be MVP. But if it wasn't for the Cape, she'd be MVP because she kicked ass in this episode.
No, she definitely did. Another big highlight of episode 5 was Bucky versus Zombie Cap.
Oh, that was great.
Dude, that was great. He cuts Zombie Cap in half with the shield.
Yes, he does.
And the line he says after, honestly, I gotta admit, it was a little bit of like, what's the word I want to use? I don't know if it tugged at the heartstrings for a second or something like that, or if it just kind of like really knew how messed up these episodes are getting. When he tells them, like, I guess that was the end of the line.
Yeah. Yeah.
These what-if episodes have gotten really fucked up, and it's just like, it digs constantly, man.
It does.
I love the fact that Disney's actually going for that.
I agree. I was worried. Remember, I said on the first episode that it felt like it was good, but it felt like they didn't really say much. It was just kind of, okay, Peggy Carter's Captain America, and this is what happens. And I was worried they weren't going to go too dark. And we heard about like the Spider-Man and the body horror and stuff. First off, all right, I've seen the zombie episode now. How the hell is Spider-Man becoming a real spider at worse than what I saw in this episode? I saw heroes being having their flesh torn apart by other heroes.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Like, I know there's going to be a season 2 of What If, and I'm really I hope they reconsider that Spider-Man turning into an actual spider, because that's a pretty cool thing.
I think it is. And look, if their reasoning is we can't think of a good story for it, okay, fine. But like, don't go with the body horror stuff and then give us this, because that's BS.
Yeah, that's kind of bullshit. And Doctor Strange's episode also got pretty dark as well.
Yeah, that got super dark. I mean, he destroys his own universe, his own multiverse.
Yeah, it's like, you could go there, guys. Go for it. In that same fight, though, which is on the train, that they take the train through, to go to Jersey and everything like that, because they're trying to pretty much go back to the fort where Captain America was, invented and everything like that, where he was born or whatnot. Wasp, by the way, flying into Sharon when Sharon turns into a zombie and expanding out of her and exploding her. How awesome was that?
I was like, I can't believe I just saw this in a Marvel Disney cartoon, because she's about to get bitten and she goes wasp and she gets in her mouth and I'm like, well, I mean, and I thought to myself, well, if I were her, I'd just expand, but I wonder what she's gonna, and boom,
that was great,
all over the place. And I love too, and this almost got Hope Van Dyne MVP as well for me. And I'll tell you why she lost it. But when she noticed she was infected, she went, all right, I'm infected, kill me. Like, she didn't pull that, I'm fine, like everyone does
which
in
drives
zombie
me
movies.
nuts. And, that drives me crazy.
Let me tell you something. We're in a zombie apocalypse, Eddie, and you and I are survivors, and I get bit. I'm giving you the gun. I don't want to live like that. I'm going to say, put me out of let me go get a bottle of whiskey and before I turn. And when I get about halfway, just, come behind me like it's of mice and men and put me out, man. I mean, why would I want to risk infecting everyone who's alive?
No, man, that's the right thing to do, essentially, in the zombie apocalypse.
Yeah. And I love that she makes the sacrifice. This is almost what got her MVP too, right? Because they're on this train trying to get to... do they know who's there yet? I don't want to say it if they don't know who's there yet. They know that
they're going to meet Vision there. Yeah, okay, that's who they want to get to.
So they're trying to get to Vision, and the train stops. It runs out of juice, and they have a whole bunch of horde of zombies. And Hope Van Dyne goes, you know what? I got this. I'm dead anyway. I got this. And she becomes giant, and she gets them over there, and she's fighting these things. And this is what loses her, could be the MVP for me, because that was big. That was big, right? Like, she sacrifices twice. Yeah. She could have said, look, I'm dead. Fuck you guys. You go. No, right? But she does the fight. Why didn't she shrink down?
Yeah, that's funny because Angie mentioned that too when we were watching it, and I'm like, yeah, she's got a good point.
I was thinking, and I was like, Hope, shrink down. Just before you die, you're dead anyway. Just shrink down. And she doesn't. And of course, what does that make? That she becomes you get a giant zombie.
Which for the sake of the zombie episode, and I knew it was going to get crazy, I'm like, all right, fine. We know this is going to add a huge thing later, so whatever. This is something I did want to talk about on the train ride right before that, though. The depiction of Peter Parker in this episode, which, by the way, we get the first MCU mention literally of Uncle Ben instead of dancing around it. He actually mentions Uncle Ben
I didn't
by
clock
name.
That. Holy shit.
No, he did, because they had that conversation where Hope Van Dyne is talking to Peter, and they have a very heartfelt conversation. And he mentions all the loss because she's like, how are you so optimistic throughout all of this? And and he mentions all the things he's lost, and he mentions why he is. That whole thing was honestly one of my favorite MCU depictions of Peter Parker so far.
I could see that.
This was not the place where I thought I was going to get that, and obviously being a Spider-Man fan that I am.
Yeah.
I mean, you could look behind me, whatever, and I know I'm talking about it glowingly on the show. It was honestly awesome. I loved his depiction. Whoever filled in for Tom Holland to voice him, spectacular job.
Yeah,
spectacular job. Because I honestly wouldn't have really known. It wasn't something that took me out of it. I'm like, no, this is MCU Spider-Man. Let's go.
Yeah, I agree. I thought it was I forgot that moment actually, and that's because I was so focused on Hope Van Dyne and shrink down, woman. But
screaming at the TV,
right? But you're right. Yeah, that scene when he talks about and it was heartbreaking. And Aunt May's dead at that point, but it was heartbreaking to hear him say it.
Yeah, because he was like, she used to say that, or she says, he says something like that.
Yeah, it
and
was
you're like,
how
fuck, dude.
How he puts it out, and it's like, she's not here, so obviously she's not alive. But did you have to confirm it?
Yeah, I mean, I would say that something that as messed up as it was. Did you read Marvel Zombies?
The one with Ash from
No, like the first run that they did that Kirkman did.
I haven't, no.
In that version, Peter is a zombie at that point, right? And you find out, but remember, they're still somewhat conscious. He ate Aunt May and MJ in that version, in that story.
I'm
and he's like
happy.
tormented by it.
As cool as that is in a comic, I'm very happy we didn't get that in this.
No, I'm very happy we didn't too, because that's rough. I mean, because Marvel writers can't help themselves, where they have to completely put Peter through the ringer in every possible step. They even did it when the guy's a damn zombie.
You got to take every single thing the guy loves and kill it. And then you got to make him kill it, and then you got to remind him he killed it. So we feel like, you read Spider-Man comics, this poor guy gets it just as bad as Batman.
Yeah, and that's why we've compared the two characters for many years. There are more similarities than I think a lot of people really are aware of.
100% agree. Well, I've told you this real quick. My dream, if I ever got to write a comic book, it would be a DC Marvel crossover where Batman wakes up in Peter Parker's New York and Peter Parker wakes up in Gotham City. And they're both, of course, compelled to do what they do and fight crime. But Batman has to get better physically to overcome Peter's villains. But what I would want to write is the Peter one, where he's fighting guys like the Joker that he's not used to. The Joker just kills people because it's fun,
Exactly. And then that would be really interesting.
So,
all right, so we get all of that, and I just wanted to do that. And then we got to Jonathan's favorite part of the episode, which we find out that they get to the base, and then when we see Scott Lang, it looks like he's done for and everything like that, and Hank ate him and stuff like that, Hank and Janet. But then we find out his head survived.
Yes.
And we get Paul Rudd voicing it and doing dad jokes because that's how he deals, apparently, which I thought was great.
And it was Ant-Man. Ant-Man was one of the ones that turned the Avengers, right? Like, he's there, small, and bites them. So we know that he was a full zombie at one point.
Yep. And how many, by the way, in What If, how many realities is Hank Pym going to be the problem for?
Right?
I mean, we know in Marvel Comics, Hank Pym's a dick. Like, in the MCU, they haven't really gone that far until now.
No,
now it's almost like, oh, what if we're going to make up for that? We're going to let you know how much of a dick he is.
That's true. Well, look, Marvel Comics, it's not Tony Stark who created Ultron. It's Hank Pym.
Hank. And Hank beats his wife. And Hank does this. Hank's a fucking piece of shit in the comics.
He really is.
And he's Yellow Jacket, and he does all this shit. So then we get to the base and everything, and we see the head and stuff. And then we also find out T'Challa's there, who was being almost fed to zombie Wanda.
Yep.
Who's being kept in the basement, and Vision is keeping her essentially alive. But then his turn to snap out of it, I thought was a little bit weird.
Yeah, it was a bit forced, but it's a half an hour show.
Yeah, exactly. So I kind of accepted it and ran with it.
Yeah, I mean, there was enough going on where I was like, okay, I get why they had to gloss over this. Like, if it were an hour show, you'd need more for me. But I'll tell you something. I only bought what Vision was doing because of the show WandaVision.
Yes, I'm with you 100%. Because it was more earned.
Right, exactly. Because you're like, well, no, I mean, we saw what Wanda did when she lost Vision. So what would Vision do if he lost Wanda? He'd probably do something similar, And I appreciated how one show enriched the other,
Yeah. And zombie Wanda was terrifying.
Oh, terrifying, because she was still super powerful.
Yes, she was terrifying. So we get the escape, and I think due to the way What If has been going, we knew this wasn't going to end well. Because they're like, oh, we're going to go to Wakanda and everything like that, and everything's going to be all right. So we get T'Challa and Peter and Scott Lang's head are the only surviving members, and they're on their ship, and they're going to go to Wakanda. But I love the tie-in back to Infinity War because we find out that zombie Thanos is waiting for them in Wakanda, and the fact that he just needed that one stone left. Yeah, because we find out that the Mind Stone essentially keeps zombies away and stuff like that.
Right.
But now zombie Thanos is going to get it, and the Watcher, just in a very brief line, it was like, essentially, this is not going to work out, and this is not how it ended. And we know zombie Thanos essentially completes the Infinity Gauntlet and probably snaps away the universe, half the universe or whatever, and that's it. Or He probably snaps it half of the way and eats it. Who the hell knows?
I was going to say, would zombie Thanos, I was thinking about this, would zombie Thanos want to snap food away, or would he snap his fingers to double the population so they had more to eat?
Enter Jonathan's comment.
Yes!
Jonathan, you are right in with us, my friend.
Yep.
Double the population increase the food supply. That's pretty genius. That's actually better than what I was thinking. I'll admit it. That was better than what I was thinking.
He's my brother-in-law, man. We're like this.
That's awesome. That is awesome.
But yeah, and I have to admit, I think it's silly that zombie Thanos is still looking for the Infinity Stones, but it's a what if zombies, and I think this was this, as you said, it tied us right back in, right? We started at the beginning of Infinity War, and the end of this episode ends at the end of Infinity War. And I think those bookends, were like perfect for this episode. I think this is my favorite episode so far.
Yeah, I think between this and the Doctor Strange episode is very close for me. Because the Doctor Strange episode was so fucked up.
It was messed up and dark, but we talked about. I had some problems with it, but
I was looking forward to this when I heard What If was announced. This was one of the episodes I was really looking forward to, and it definitely delivered. It gave me exactly what I wanted it to be.
Same here.
All right, and then we get to this week's episode of What If, which pretty much was what if, Killmonger saved Tony from the bomb. And then it goes off from there. He essentially continues his plan to get back to Wakanda, right? That's essentially what he wanted to do.
That's his plan. It's almost as if I think the what if isn't even what if Killmonger. I mean, if I were retitling it, like what if Killmonger's plan had changed his plan to involve Tony Stark because he's manipulating everything the whole episode.
Oh, yeah, no, I mean, this dude took some serious master planning to execute his plan.
And I'll tell you something, this was almost my favorite episode. I thought the ending, I didn't like the end. I thought the ending was way too open and did not give me enough resolution for the story. Mm-hmm. But what I really appreciate about this episode was it took two of my favorite characters in the MCU, which is Tony Stark and Killmonger, and put them together. And the beginning of this movie feels like you're watching a what if from Iron Man 1, and the end of this movie, you're watching a what if from Black Panther. And those are two of my favorite movies in the MCU. Like, if I were creating top 10, those would easily be in the top 5.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah. So, like, there was so much about this episode I really liked. And, Killmonger had me fooled. I didn't realize he was being so manipulative and still going along with his plan. I kind of thought like, oh, well, maybe he saves Tony and it gives his life a different direction. Mm-hmm. And the fact that I was fooled, I appreciate that. I like being surprised like that.
Yeah, no, I didn't quite. I was wondering like maybe Killmonger turned over a new leaf and everything like that, and he becomes like a hero and stuff. But
or even like he gets, he starts working with Tony Stark, and instead of being a villain bent on what he wants to do in Wakanda, he decides to use Tony Stark and become rich or something. Like,
or like War Machine or something like that.
Yeah, right. Actually, I was expecting him to become War Machine, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Funny line though, when they're trying to think about how to operate the mechanized warriors, and Tony goes, "What if we could miniaturize an arc reactor?" Oh, that's stupid.
Yeah, no, there was a lot of things peppered through that were just like, man, that's from the main timeline, but like, now we're gonna screw with that. I thought the episode was cool. I enjoyed it. I don't know where I didn't think about ranking these episodes so far. And as much as I like the Sharon Carter one, the first one, I still like, now that it's gone to where it's gone, I'm enjoying like what you said. These are taking so many dark chances now. And this one takes a lot of dark chances.
Oh, yeah.
Tony gets killed again.
Yeah.
It seems like Tony just keeps being brought back to get killed.
Oh my God. And like, not just Tony, but like, we see Killmonger kill T'Challa in cold blood.
Yep.
And Rhodey. Yep. And Rhodey was on his side. He was there supposed to be backing Rhodey up. So like it goes dark. Like Killmonger is like seriously evil in this.
Yeah, I mean, listen, Killmonger's whole thing in Black Panther, I was always like, I get his point. Like, I understand why he's upset.
Yeah.
But then obviously when you start saying, all right, well, when you get into the mass genocide stuff is where you start losing people. And that's where you become a villain.
You always lose people with mass genocide.
Thanos, Killmonger, I mean, dude, no. And a villain we'll talk about later. But yeah, that's where he lost me with this. But I enjoyed the episode. I thought it was interesting to see like you said, the tie-ins between Killmonger and pretty much the original Iron Man storyline.
Right.
I thought were pretty cool.
I'm sorry. But okay. I loved how they like sort of got. Thank you, Jonathan, for stealing my thunder. You want to come on?
Jonathan might as well be the third host tonight. I mean, shit. Go ahead. Yes, Jason, you love the reveal about how he revealed Obadiah Stane's fucking term.
I was literally just going to talk about that, Jonathan. Yes. I love that because you get him like, oh, Tony. And it's like, no, I got proof. Here you go. And they just take him away. And it's like, so I really appreciated the attention to detail of, no, there are things that still need to be wrapped up that were part of Iron Man. Like, we can't forget about Obadiah Stane. We got to do something about him. And I just really enjoyed those moments. So we do. We're in sync tonight, Jonathan.
he's definitely with us. Yeah, so those are the things I like. But I agree. The ending, I didn't really go gaga for because, actually, you know what I thought was a powerful moment? I think about it when T'Challa's mother is the general in this, and she's like, for T'Challa, and she actually sheds a tear and she's crying.
Yes,
like that missing of T'Challa is still there because again, in this episode, he doesn't play like he's not on screen a lot. He doesn't get a lot of screen time, but his impact obviously is felt throughout. And what he tells him after he becomes Black Panther, I thought was awesome. In the ancestral plane, after he gets the whole thing and becomes it. Was it worth it and a cousin and all this other stuff? I'm like, T'Challa's still getting at him.
Yep, it was awesome. And I also really like that this is also a what if Killmonger came back before T'Challa's dad died. Because
he's alive,
And I never thought about that in the movie, but that movie would have played out very differently if T'Challa's dad was still king because he did have the regret about what he did to his brother. He did have the guilt over abandoning Killmonger. Like, he does have that. And so his blind acceptance of Killmonger, back into the fold, that's a manifestation of his own guilt and the fact that he knows he did wrong. And had he been king, Killmonger probably would have been able to do something like this. Whatever machinations he had, he probably would have been successful because the king kept giving him the benefit of the doubt.
No, that's a good point. All right, but he was determined to become the Black Panther. I mean, that was his goal and to take over Wakanda and everything. So
yeah. I think this is a great episode with a bad ending. That's my whole synopsis.
No, I agree. And I'm not sure what we're getting this week, but we'll see because I know they'll start leaking it out there Tuesday or Monday.
Yeah,
they'll release a clip and that's what they've been doing outside they were revealing their episodes. But I'm thoroughly enjoying What If. I mean, I know there was a comment here from our buddy Alex. Like, I lost interest in What If after I never got to watch it. Well, I mean, if you watched the episode tonight, we kind of spoiled the shit out of it for you.
It's spoiled. But Al,
that's on you.
Still watch that zombie episode, man. It was a lot of fun. I think you'd like it. I mean, if you didn't like the other ones, you might not like episode 6. But I think 5 is definitely worth your 30 minutes.
Yeah, I'm really picking. I'm liking What If a lot, and every week, and like again, now it's like I'm waiting for the story to end really fucked up for the heroes because it seems like that's what keeps on happening.
Right, exactly. I think what I might do if I have some time, and maybe it'll be an intermittent segment on the show, but I think I'm gonna crack my old comics and I'm gonna dive into my old What If collection.
I should see what ifs I've got in my stash because I'm
curious. We do that. Like just a small 5-minute thing where you and I just talk about we read one a week. You and I talk about the what ifs that we have.
Mm-hmm. I think we could do that.
Might be interesting.
All right, so let's keep it rolling here. let's get a DC's Titans,
Oh,
a
God.
show that we are
Oh,
absolutely
God.
adoring.
This season is perfect, guys. This season is perfect. Nothing is wrong with this season. I won't hear anything bad about it. I'm so in love with this season. That's all I can say. I texted you and Tony yesterday because I started my catch up yesterday. Like Vincent Kartheiser is my favorite Scarecrow. Like this is my favorite Scarecrow, and he's one of my favorite villains. I loved him on the animated series, which I've been revisiting with my son, as I said. So I'm remembering how great he is there. I love him in the Arkham games. I think the characterization on him in those games are amazing, and the artistry is amazing. I loved Cillian Murphy as the Scarecrow. I love every version of him, but I'm watching this, and Vincent Kartheiser is dynamic as this character. He brings such a fresh take to it that he steals every goddamn scene he's in.
Yeah, I gotta agree with you, man. Like especially because we're gonna be browsing over episodes 6 through 8. I mean, it's a lot to get into, but we'll cover highlights. But man, I'm with you, man. Every scene he's in, he steals.
He does.
He's really, really good. And I wasn't sure how big Scarecrow was going to be in this season, but boy, he is front and center.
He's a heavy. We got a Batman villain as a heavy. I mean, my little geek heart is all aflutter.
This is the best Batman live action TV show.
That
there is.
I'm so in love with this show. Like, it's so fantastic. Like, all right. So my highlights. I'll give you my highlights for the first episode that we're doing, 6. Everything the Scarecrow is in, right? Everything. He's got my favorite line from the Scarecrow is "Anger is just fear in a little black dress."
I like that. I like
great. That. And he has this whole thing where he's like, I'm like Batman. I'm trying to save Gotham.
He's fully convinced.
Yes. And that's what makes the best villains is he thinks he's the good guy.
Yep.
I'm going to save Gotham by poisoning Gotham's water supply.
By the way, all right, can now that we've said that, because whatever, we're talking the 6 through 8.
Yeah,
right?
we're just jumping around.
We find out in episode 8 that's the plan.
Yes, it's just
now
perfect. It's a Scarecrow thing.
Now we know that this is also the plot in Batman Begins.
But I'm
fine with it. I'm fine.
It's
with
also
it.
been the plot in how many comic books?
Well, that's what I was going to ask you more about. Like, I'm sure this is something that's also been other plots, and this is Scarecrow's thing. It's almost like Lex Luthor in the movies wants to do real estate schemes. Scarecrow just wants to go ahead, and he wants to go ahead and get the fear toxin into the damn water, and that's how we're going to get everybody.
Yep. That's his thing. I mean, look, how else are you going to get that fear toxin in? Hell, we can't get people to take the COVID vaccine. You think he's going to be able to get people to line up and get his fear toxin?
That's what we should do, is throw it in a water supply. That's it. Everyone's vaccinated.
That's right.
Don't tell anybody.
Oh, you don't want the vaccine?
No, that's it.
You're drinking it.
Yeah. Somebody's going to run with that and be like, oh, that's what I heard on this show.
Ooh, maybe I should become a superhero and save New York by poisoning its water supply. But I just love the Scarecrow. We got our second Mr. Freeze reference.
Yes, so we get Snowy Combs.
Yes, we do. And I'm really hoping we get Victor Freeze. Like, maybe not this season, but they keep throwing in Victor Freeze references. That means one of two things. The writers are just big fans of Mr. Freeze, so they keep using him, or they're setting us up for something. And I forget what the reference is because I watched this episode like 3 weeks ago or 2.5 weeks ago. Yeah. But I think it was actually like it wasn't just like a throwaway thing. Like, no, Mr. Freeze or something. Like, it was something about his technology or whatever, right? So
I'm looking through my notes. I'm trying to find something.
Yeah, I wrote down Mr. Freeze was mentioned, but I didn't write down the actual.
By the way, can we talk about the fact that Barbara Gordon in this episode has a red bat phone?
Yeah, she does.
A red mobile bat phone, and there's no way that was by mistake.
No, and you know what?
Totally a callback to Batman 66.
Well, that's not the first callback to Batman 66. We had Batman doing the Batusi.
When I noticed, I'm like, does she have a red cell phone that is Bruce's phone?
And
how great is that?
That was pitch perfect. And again, it's the right way to get Batman 66 in there. You can't put too much of it. You can't start talking shark repellent, but you give me a red phone, the people in the know are in the know. But it works for the story.
We're in the know.
Well, we are in the know. I have seen every episode of Batman 66 at least twice. I own it on Blu-ray, actually.
That is something there.
I paid over $100 for it on Blu-ray because I'm a cheap guy when it comes to buying myself stuff. Mm-hmm. So I don't usually spend that kind of money on like entertainment. But for Batman, I would do it.
I get it.
But I also talking about Barbara Gordon. So yeah, she still has the bat phone, and you know how much she hates Bruce Wayne, right? And Batman. She's resentful. She blames him for her father's death. She hates vigilantism, but she still picks up that phone when Bruce calls, and she still goes to the alley when she thinks Bruce is telling her to go to the alley. She doesn't know it's a trap.
Yeah, we find out it's Lady Vic.
Yeah, it's Lady Vic. Who, by the way, cool. Great moment again. I talking about Scarecrow highlights is when Jason Todd, just to jump back a bit, Jason Todd is like, nothing happens without my say so, and then right, and he's just like, hey, I used to come to this. This is a hospital I used to work at. I used to come here and watch them do in the morgue when I would eat my lunch and have them watch them do surgery, whatever. And Lady Vic comes in and kills everyone brutally, and he just goes, Jason, if your heart's not in the cause, other people will take it up. Yep. It's just like, that was so menacing, and he was smiling the whole time.
Through episodes 6 through 8 is when we really find out how bad Scarecrow is and how much he is like, fuck you, Jason. Like, you're just a toy. You're an ends to a mean, and that's it.
That's it. That's it. But yeah, it's brilliant. And then Barbara Gordon fights Lady Vic, and I really love this show because it does not forget that Barbara Gordon was Batgirl. Even if she's in the chair, it doesn't matter. She's still fucking Batgirl. That's it.
She fights her off.
She does. She wins the fight without her legs.
Yes, which is phenomenal.
She pulls out like these like batons.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my god! And this actress they got to play Barbara is perfect. I love her so much.
No, she's really, really good. Well, we find out Crane gets this shortwave position multiplier, essentially to multiply his fear toxin or whatever it is that he gave Jason, and that's pretty much it. I want to talk about how Dick and Gar break down the whole thing with Lady Vic, and they use it through audio, and Dick says,
shit, yes.
This is how me and Bruce used to do this. We did training on this. Dude, how Detective Batman was that? Again, getting so much Batman without actually Batman even being there.
I'm so glad you brought that up because I wanted to bring it up and almost forgot about it. But this is how we used to train. Now, I think about this. You are Dick Grayson. You are 12. Your parents are dead. And what you are doing with your adopted father as bonding is listening to murder crime scenes so you can visually reenact in your head what happened by the sound.
Yep.
I mean, I used to be one of those guys that was like, no, Batman's not a sociopath. Batman's great. This show makes me kind of think Batman's a sociopath.
But an awesome detective, though, at that.
Oh. And still a hero. It's still my favorite.
Yes. No, that changes none of that.
But yeah, that was an awesome moment of them retracing that. Perfect.
Yeah, so I think we get that. And then we also get what we'll see a payoff. We know the payoff now. But we start Superboy and Blackfire start talking and stuff, and she kind of like takes to him, and you kind of see where they're going with that.
Yeah.
And this was
fucking sorry.
Yeah, and in episode 8 we absolutely get it more than confirmed.
Yeah.
But episode 7, let's jump into that one quickly. The Blackfire Superboy tension continues. Blackfire gets her suit, which looks pretty damn awesome.
That's when you find out why Blackfire really killed her parents, right?
Yes, because I like the bonding of Superboy and Blackfire over their shared past.
Me
because
too.
They're just kind of like we both felt like we weren't anywhere, we didn't belong anywhere, but yet now we're here.
Yeah, right. And he keeps saying like it's a family you got to earn your way into, but once you do, your family. and that's how he feels. And I really like that. And I think I said when I heard Superboy and Superdog was in this show, I was like, that can't be good. But again, this is great. This is real human stuff with these people. And so, yeah, they take a liking to each other. And it does in episode 8, hashtag spoilers for the next 5 minutes of the segment. They are officially having sex and having a sexual relationship. And that was even hinted when she first comes, when she looks him up and down and goes, does this one attend to my needs?
Yeah. She wasn't messing around about that. It's like, on Tamarin, things are different. That's what pretty much Carrie Andrew tells her, which I was like, yeah, we know where this is going to go.
Yeah, yeah.
I think the other quick takeaways in episode 7 was I feel like most of the notes were outside of that. So they have that Oracle system, which is very similar to the Dark Knight.
Yeah.
And that's why they were recreating the crime scene. Well, that gets destroyed. On top of that, because Scarecrow destroys it. Essentially, he tricks Barbara Gordon into destroying it, because that's the system that Bruce had to use to pretty much defeat Scarecrow the first time. So it's like, all right, we're going to make them destroy it on their own and get that out of the way.
No, I thought that was perfect, and it was such a good way that he did it. Like, because that's why. So they set up like he needed a picture of her face, and that's why, so we could hack in. And the whole reason he hacked in was to have her destroy it. And again, it's like watching this guy play chess with them. This was not an action-oriented scene. This was like he kills someone with a bomb, like one of those chess bombs that killed Hawk. And they can't defuse it. And that's the way he lets them know he's hacked into Oracle. And then she destroys it, and he's just like, checkmate. Yeah, that's exactly what I wanted. And even though it's not an action scene, it's just such a wonderful conflict between them. And then the only way they're able to get on top of him, and I really enjoyed this, was because Jason Todd knows Batman very well. And he knows Nightwing very well, but he doesn't really know what the other Titans are capable of, because he didn't spend that much time with them, right?
Yeah.
He was kind of always the outsider, and so Coriander and what's her name? Starfire. Blackfire. Thank you. They decide that they're going to make a deal with the mob, because Crane is working with the mob, and there's a mob boss who doesn't like what he's doing, and they make a point of saying, well, Nightwing, Dick wouldn't do this. His family was killed by the mob. He's not going to like that we do this. And Coriander's like, yeah, but this has to be done. And so they do that, and they get the information, and that's how they're able to defeat Crane, because he knows about. He can predict what the Bat family would do, but anyone outside the Bat family, he doesn't. He has blinders. So I thought that was kind of cool.
No, you're right. I agree. That was pretty damn awesome. But I also wanted to mention here that so Dick and Barbara apparently back together, because we found out in a previous episode that they had a fling going on and they were really into it. Apparently they're back. So we get that.
Comics accurate. They had a relationship in the comic book, right?
Yeah, no, well, much better than the prelude that we got in the Kill and Joke animated movie.
The what? I've never heard of that.
Yeah, exactly.
I hate that.
That was so weird. But that ties back into the end of the episode is where Beast Boy Gar wants to go ahead and save Jason, because he's like, this is family, because they're ready to go. The other Titans are like, especially Dick. Yeah. Dick is just like, listen, we gotta end that guy. And I know in episode 8 he says something that Bruce told him, was that you got a guy drowning, you throw water on him. And that's essentially what they're pretty much going to end him. And Gar is like, dude, this guy's family too. We got to treat him like everyone else. Yeah. He has a heartfelt moment where he goes to Jason's friend and is like, listen, we got to try to help this guy. And that ties us right into episode 8, which was this past week's episode. The Titan signal is introduced immediately. So they replaced the bat signal with the T in the sky, which I thought was really cool.
I love it, because Batman's gone and you need someone. Gotham is without someone protecting Gotham, it's going to hell.
Yeah, and then you have a team of superheroes here that is working with the GCPD. Mm-hmm. So let's go. We fired up the T, and we get Superboy and Blackfire officially hooking up. I mean, there's literally a
they're in bed naked.
Yes.
Yeah. It's a PG sex scene. Yeah.
It's a PG sex scene, which is fine. We got the point. But I thought it was hilarious how Starfire is having one of her dreams or visions again. Like her eyes are glowing. She doesn't know what she's doing. She walks in on them, and Superboy is like, "I'm out of here." He uses his speed to get out, and she's about to fry Blackfire, who uses her abilities to shut that shit down. So she doesn't know what she saw, and Blackfire's like, "Yeah, I was just sleeping."
Yeah, that's funny. That's funny.
So I know what you're talking about. I thought that was actually really funny.
That was good.
But something really cool, though, is that we finally get Tim Drake back in the picture.
Yes. And I really like this Tim Drake. I really like this Tim Drake.
He shows up at Wayne Manor pretty much calling out Dick, like, dude, listen, I know everything. Yeah. And I figured it out for my own detective work.
This is how Tim Drake becomes Robin in the comics, by the way.
Yes.
Like, he goes to, I think he goes to Batman in the comics, but he's like, yeah, no, I know you're Bruce Wayne, and I know Dick Grayson is like, and I love that moment where he's like, you know, I watched your show when I was a kid, and you did this thing, and then I remember seeing you as Robin, and then Robin did this thing, and then Nightwing did this thing, and Dick is like, all right, so Robin and Nightwing stole my moves. What do you want from me? And it's like, he knows. Like, he can't admit it, but he knows he's got. And then when the kid goes, I know Bruce Wayne is Batman. It's like, come on, you're got, man. He knows.
And Dick just doesn't want to say that. He's just like not giving in. Even though he knows, everyone knows that they know, but he's just, I'm not going to say the words, and that's it.
Absolutely. And then he has that great line. He's like, and I thought Jason Todd was the second Robin, but he's dead. And I saw him the other day. And then of course that's where we get the plot turn. Yeah.
And that's where it goes ahead. And then the next scene actually picks up where Jason beats the crap out of Kane, by the way, and literally knocks him out cold.
Yeah, he does.
He literally beats the crap out of him because he's had enough of his shit.
And he's got my favorite line, by the way, as Scarecrow. He goes, "You're back. Come on, bring it in, J-Dog." Yeah. It's just such a great line.
Oh man, it's the way he just keeps fucking with him is great. I mean, he's truly like just the fucking villain, man.
Yeah,
and it's pretty cool to see.
A perfect Scarecrow.
An interesting thing I want to point out is Jason goes ahead and Dick gets hit off his motorcycle.
Yeah,
Jason is over him, calls 911 instead of ending him. So that's when we start really seeing like, hey, you know, maybe Jason really is over this shit, and he says as much during the episode. I want to come back and stuff, and we'll get more into that.
He does, and it is made clear too. I'm sorry, Eddie, but it is made clear too that a lot of it was this fear, this toxin. Like Crane you made that toxin so he could make him susceptible. Like he has been being used. I'm not saying it justifies everything that happened, but he wasn't in his own mind, and I think that is important.
And that's a theme throughout this episode. In episode 8, is that he's just saying like he had never had evil intentions. This is just he was being used, and he was someone who was on drugs. So he wasn't really in his right mind,
and he wasn't thinking right. Like he's dealing with this PTSD from the last episode. He's a child, who had a messed up childhood with all this craziness. He doesn't make the right decisions. All he wants to do is stop feeling afraid, and so he makes the worst decision he possibly could. And because he's also a kid, we got to remember, Jason Todd's a teenager. Guy's like 15, 16. Like, I work with teenagers. They don't make the best of decisions.
No. No, they really don't.
No.
So when Dick's in the hospital, he gets his eye test. Barbara tells him to read the bottom line. And then we start getting where he starts getting these weird visions of essentially the letters flipping around, and it ends up being the Bat logo.
Yeah.
And it goes at it. And this is something that starts getting hinting at throughout the episode. And we don't get a clear thing. And I'm curious, we'll talk about it where we think this is going. But that was the first time we get it. Starfire continues with her visions. She ends up going to the point where she drives to a house that she's been circling. And Blackfire and Superboy follow her there. They let her do it. And that's when she pretty much just says, oh, by the way, you guys are sleeping together.
Yeah, which I loved. I love that.
Okay. So it's out in the open now.
Yeah, and we didn't really touch on it, but I think they are setting up Coriander to become an actual Titan, because the whole reason that she killed her parents were because
Blackfire,
Blackfire,
Coriander, Starfire.
Oh, okay, Blackfire. I'm sorry, I mixed them up. Blackfire, because the whole reason that she killed her parents was because Coriander left and never came back. Everyone wanted her to be queen. They blamed Blackfire for her not coming back, wanted her dead, and the king, her parents were going to kill her because they have some, they never really liked her, and so I think it's interesting that they're setting her up. They set her up to. There's a reason she did what she did, and now she's kind of being accepted. So I do think they're setting her up to be a genuine Titan.
No, I think so too. I think she's on board.
Yeah.
So then Jason does this weird thing where he's continuing to seek forgiveness. And he goes and it's like a peep show type thing.
Yeah, it's like a sex show. Like he comes in. This is this is my favorite part of the episode.
Yeah, because
he comes in and it's a peep show type thing. Except there are two people who are gonna have sex on a bed, and he's like, I want you to respond to Hank, and you respond to Dawn. And the guy's like, I don't want to do this. And he's like, I want to say I'm sorry. Like he's trying to resolve his trauma from what he did to Hank and essentially Dawn by and this is actually a psychological thing where you have proxies of symbols of what people that you need resolution from. And then you say your piece. And that's what he's trying to do. But it's in this weird sex shop peep show. And the guy walks away, but the woman kind of sits there and talks to him for a little bit until the thing goes down. And it was just it was a powerful scene, a well-written scene, a psychologically real scene, and just so surreal that it took place in a fucking peep show with sex workers, Yeah,
it shows you the kind of world Jason's in at the moment.
Right. Like this is the best he can do for forgiveness.
Yeah. Another great scene I thought in this episode was Crane when he goes to meet his mother, who we find out is also a psychiatrist, and essentially again lays out his plan again, sees this whole thing. They're going back and forth verbal barbs back and forth about through psychology and stuff, and then he finds out his mother essentially sold him out to the GCPD. And he kills her.
Oh, he fucking murders her. He really
kills her. And they're like, dude, this guy will. They just keep on driving it home, man.
Oh, and you know what I really appreciate about the Scarecrow is when you first meet him, he's just he's helping you out for some pot. He's smoking pot. He's I'll just give you some wisdom. And every episode, he just gets a little worse. And a little worse, and a little worse. And so now he's like, I'm poisoning Gotham's water supply and killing my mother bad. It's just the fact that he starts out so small and innocuous that you and I didn't even realize he was going to be the heavy for this season.
No.
And now he is a full-blown Batman villain. It was just done so well.
Yeah. So then Tim Drake tracks them down to this warehouse. And Crane picks up a gun and fucking shoots Tim Drake clean through, no hesitation. Yeah. You're done. Thankfully, the Titans show up. And by the way, I love the way they show Superboy's powers in the show, where when he's doing the X-ray vision, his eyes light up white. And he obviously has the heat vision otherwise. He checks it, makes sure the shot goes right through. Crane pretty much dupes them into attacking him because we're thinking, all right, Titans are here. They're going to show up. They're going to stop Crane. He's toast. He has no chance at them. Pretty much dupes Starfire into attacking because he's also talking to himself and some of the things he was talking about with his mother. Oh, you're never going to take chances and things like that. So he hypes himself up and he's like, well, Crane, you got to take the chance. I'm going to take the chance now because he's going to have Starfire essentially fire at him.
Yeah.
And releases his fear toxin into the fucking water.
And it works.
And that's where we're at. So to wrap up that episode.
And again, man, this is what I love about the Scarecrow, and this is why I love Batman Begins, too, because he's not a physical villain. You can kick the shit out of Scarecrow. Batman easily. Jason Todd
did.
Yeah. You can beat the hell out of him easily, but it's the psychological. He's playing chess. He's playing 7 different chess matches with, a bunch of other people, and it's all culminating to his plan. And that's what it is. And he's not winning in every move because, it was a setback when they found him in episode 7 and he, knocked Jason out and took him with him and escaped. That was a setback. He didn't expect that. But just because you lose your rook doesn't mean you've lost the game. And this whole season is a chess match between Jason Todd, the Titans, and Scarecrow. And this episode where he like kind of puts them in check here. It's not checkmate. They're going to win in the end. It's a comic book show. They're going to win in the end. But he puts them in check by like, okay, I dangled my queen in front of you, but I took your bishop. You know what I mean? And that's what he did here. And I love, this is so well written. And I think that's why I love it so much. It's so smart and so well written. And it's just, I have nothing bad to say about it at all.
Yeah, I still stand by it. This is the best comic book show going at the moment. I mean,
agreed. This season,
the
season alone is fantastic. Like my favorite comic book stuff, my favorite comic book show stuff is maybe this season alone right now.
Yeah, no, it's really kicking out. So if you're into DC comic stuff, and I know a lot of people are weary about the movies, dude, turn on HBO Max, turn on Titans. It's fucking great. And when Doom Patrol comes back in a few weeks, you'll love it also. It's the two best things that they're doing right now. All right, it's movie time.
All right,
we haven't done a movie in a bit. Go ahead.
We haven't. Can I tell a quick story like concerning my son and Shang-Chi? Since we're going to be doing Shang-Chi. So I've been in LA the reason I've been on the show, I've been in LA for a little while. We had a death in the family. And to cheer up my father-in-law, the family, he loves movies. He hasn't been in the movie theater since pre-COVID. We rented out an entire theater to watch Shang-Chi, right? And which means I could bring my son. So this movie is the first movie my son has ever seen in the theater. And he liked it. It was a huge moment. And, you know, I had seen it already. The rest of the family didn't. So I was taking care of the kids that we had, my son anyway, that we brought running after him. But he'd run around for a bit, and then he'd stop, and then he'd watch, and he'd be like, ah! And then he'd run around. So I'm going to say that his review of this is he really enjoyed it. So I just wanted to share that because again, it was just such a great personal daddy-son moment with my son.
That's awesome, dude. That I don't know what the hell the last personal guy saw was, but this is a pretty big one to get to remember to see.
Oh, absolutely.
Right. We have not a guest, but our co-host, he is back.
Guess who's back? Tony's back. Tony, I miss you, man.
What's up, guys?
I haven't seen you in forever. How you been, brother?
Oh, well, I'm all right. I'm hanging in. How are you guys doing?
Pretty good, man. Pretty good. Can't complain. We're rolling along. You know.
I've been listening. Apparently there was a little bit of a delay on the Facebook page to where you're at right now. I was about 5 minutes behind, so I apologize. I was trying to time it perfectly for the end of your Titan sentence. And right into here. So.
No, you were good. You're good.
You were good because I had I needed 5 minutes to tell a story and maybe you didn't hear it but my son's first movie was this movie. Like my family rented out a movie theater so we could see it without worrying about COVID and bring kids. And so my son watched this movie with me 3 days or 2 days ago, and he loved it.
I just heard that, and I know that I expressed my condolences to you and the family, but let me do that again. Obviously,
thank you.
I know that it's been a really rough, week and a half for you guys. So I'm just send my best at home, to everybody.
Thank you very much, Tony. I definitely will.
And on another note, I am very happy to be here talking about this movie. I miss you guys, and I got my Polka Dot Man shirt.
Nice,
on, right? So
nice.
I'm ready to go, bro. I'm ready. I know you can't see my name that I typed in here, but I thought it was kind of appropriate. But
Shang-Chi
instead of Shang-Chi.
I like it. Tony, I mentioned to you on Empire 161 right before this. We talked about the 9/11 game, so I mentioned that we ran into each other at Citi Field.
55,000 seats at Citi Field, and this guy is sitting the row behind my season tickets. It's amazing.
That's crazy.
And I just happened to see on Facebook that he posted a picture, and I'm like, where are you sitting? He's like 429. I'm like, so am I. I literally 2 minutes later walked down the stairs, and there he is. I'm like, wow.
In the row right behind him.
What is the possibility of that happening?
Astronomical.
Slim to none.
Fantastic.
Yeah, so it was pretty cool. We got to sit in the same section. We only got to talk for a few minutes because it was a little crazy at the game.
Yeah,
But
it was pretty packed.
in between the the offense and the people just deciding to run out onto the field, which
Yeah, it's pretty wild.
I have not seen, let alone I haven't seen a guy run on a field, let alone two, in 20 years. It's crazy, and I go to games pretty often, and I was stunned. I couldn't believe that they had that. So
That's crazy.
So I think Marvel is pumped for this episode. I said.
So we need to put an end to this. Yeah, she's hyped up because we're talking about Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. I think she's also having a wrestling match with Mando right outside this door. So
take it off the top.
Yeah, I don't know. All right, so hopefully we can get through this with it. But yeah, if you haven't seen Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings, spoilers, we're gonna get into them. The label is on the bottom of the screen. And you were apparently one of a very few people who has not seen it because the damn thing is #1 at the box office 3 weeks in a row, proving that ScarJo has a legit beef with Disney on this back end thing. Because if you put out the damn movie, they're gonna make money.
They need to cut her a check. That's it.
Cut the check, like Anthony Mackie would say, and let's keep it moving. All right, let's dive into this thing. Man, we got ourselves another, at least in my opinion, I'll share overall thoughts. We got ourselves another top tier MCU film. I don't know where the hell it's ranked because I haven't sat down and wrote it down or anything like that. But dude, the thing was awesome. I absolutely adore this movie. It gives you, it's obviously an MCU film, but it doesn't feel like it's weighed down as a heavy MCU film. It's one of the things I love about the franchise overall is that we get something that's in franchise but is different. It's unlike anything we've ever seen before in the Marvel universe.
It's what I love about this is you get the Marvel lore of it, obviously, and we'll get into where the big lore comes in close to the end of the movie. But you don't need to know the lore to appreciate the movie.
No, not at all. You can jump in and just be like, all right.
Exactly, because they give you everything you need, and like you even get those Awkwafina says to Shang-Chi, we live in a world where half the population can be snapped away at any moment. Like, but that's it. That's all you get of like the Thanos stuff, right? But it's there, but you don't need to know about it. They've told you everything you need to know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, and that's what I really appreciate. It's not heavy down. Someone can jump into this thing and be like, that was a really cool movie. I enjoyed that. Oh, I wonder who that guy was. I wonder who, whatever we could say. We're talking about spoilers. Who is Wong? Who's Abomination?
Yeah.
What the hell's going on here? Let me go back and start watching this damn thing.
Right. And the beautiful thing is, though, I know who Wong and Abomination are, and I'm still going, can I get the Marvel one-off of what the hell they're doing? Because I want to see that buddy cop movie that they're making on the side. Like, so even if someone knows the lore, I don't know what's going on there.
Right, because they don't give you that much.
No, but that's the thing is you don't need it. Like, all you need to know is this guy named Wong and this monster we're fighting. You're in a fight club, so that's not crazy, even if you don't know who they are, you know?
Yeah, absolutely.
This is a movie that if you've never watched a Marvel movie before, this will make you want to be involved. This is a movie that will even for someone who doesn't know anything about comic books. If someone goes to see this movie and says, oh, you love kung fu movies, you love martial arts movies, you're gonna love this movie, and then they go and they see it and they're gonna watch it and they're gonna be like, I really like this. Like, where is this going? Or who are these other people? Or how did this start? This is definitely, in my opinion, a jumping off point for people who have never seen anything Marvel. And I know that number is getting smaller and smaller, but the amount of people who are watching are definitely going up and up, because I can't tell you how many people, say to me if I'm wearing a shirt like this, or if, they catch an episode of an older episode of the podcast, and they say, like, oh, you're really into that Marvel stuff, and man, I just watched this for the first time and I'm going back and I'm starting to watch everything. And it's because of stuff like this, because this movie was an absolute attention grabber from the very beginning.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
It is a really great jumping off point. Like if you're just getting into Marvel somehow now, like, and I think Marvel does that purposefully, right? There are a lot like Black Panther is one of those too, where like it's they you have your movies like Avengers Endgame or Avengers anything where you have to know what's going on in the other movies. But you also have movies like this that are just as good. Because I put this up, this top tier. This is way top tier for me. Where you don't need to know anything. And if you want to dive in more, you can. If you don't, you can just enjoy what's there and move on. And this is definitely one of those movies.
Yeah, this could be a standalone or a movie that will cause you to say, you know what, I really like this. I want to see more of this guy, but I need to know what's going on before this. And, you know, I really feel like people are going to start doing that after watching this movie because it is that good.
Yeah, and the way that it ties into the MCU perfectly, well, we can get into that. This movie is extremely tied into Iron Man. It goes and ties into the original Iron Man and the Iron Man trilogy, very much Iron Man 3.
Yeah.
Which we get a lot of, and you know, we've never really openly talked about it on this version of Granny's Peach Tea.
Yeah, but that
on
is the very
previous
first
version. We did actually. Me and Tim did. That was one of the movies we did.
That's kind of how this all got started, right? That movie was
that movie.
We decided to get together and we wanted to talk about a divisive Marvel movie. And I happen to really like Iron Man 3 despite its flaws, and I admit there are many. And you and Tim have varying different degrees of like or dislike for it, and that I think we just wanted to talk about it.
Yeah, and that's kind of what really started the original version of Granny's Peach Tea into where we're at now, 32 episodes in.
Yeah.
But yeah, it ties into Iron Man 3, and really, the big moment that really set me off and something what I don't like about it was the Mandarin.
Yeah, no, that's the worst part.
Yeah, and that's where this movie begins, where we see, even though he's not labeled the Mandarin, but we know he's the Mandarin.
And he even makes the joke.
Which I think is great.
It is fantastic, where he tells the story about...
He kills it. He kills the whole lore of it right then and there.
Right there. He's like, he named himself after a dish. He had the whole... America was afraid of an orange. Like, I love that.
I thought that was phenomenal. But again, if you're familiar with the Mandarin from the comics, you know he's the Mandarin. It's fine. You don't have to call him that.
No,
and that's really cool. And he kicks ass.
Oh my
God!
That
opening scene where we get that, dude. This guy is ridiculous. I love this character.
The guy who plays the Mandarin is so good. He's my favorite part of this movie.
Tony
Leung, yeah. I want to see more stuff that he's been in. Again, even on my second rewatch, I'm captivated every time he's on the screen. He's so good. He's so dynamic. Like this movie, and I'm going to say, and Eddie, I've told you this. Tony, I haven't told you this, and this is going to be something that a lot of people aren't going to agree with. This portrayal of the Mandarin, this actor playing the Mandarin, makes me happy that we did not get the Mandarin in Iron Man 3, because there is no way that Mandarin was going to be as good as this. Like this was a living, breathing human embodiment of that character. And it was done so well, and it was written so well. Like he's a villain, but he's not a villain. And like, he's just so dynamic. And yeah, that's the biggest compliment I can give it is it makes me okay with not getting to see the Mandarin face off against Iron Man, simply because I know I wouldn't get this one.
No, I agree with you, and I feel like, you know, by not making him the Mandarin, you're able to give him that performance. Basically, you're able to give him that humanity, where the Mandarin is this, you know, almost, you know, and look, he's got that, you know, that look, look exactly what Trevor Slattery looked like in Iron Man 3 is what we all, you know, knew that the Mandarin would look like from the comics. But this character that they created, Wenwu, and the, you know, how he portrayed, you know, the loss of his family, his kid, you know, both of his children left him, you know, the death of his wife. He played it so hauntingly, you know, like, and it was, you believed it throughout the whole film. You felt his pain. You understood why he had the anger that he had. You know, it was basically, you know, his guilt of what happened his previous life before he met her, the fact that he felt guilty that he took the rings off, and that's the reason why it happened. That if he hadn't done that, it would never have, that never would have happened. So it was so well performed by him and by the kids as well.
Oh yeah,
and we'll get into them, but I mean, just the dynamic between the children and him is so well portrayed, and it makes him a character that now, thinking about it, that we won't have him anymore after this, is just it actually makes me sad, because
me too.
He was so good, and you understood where he was and why he was as desperate as he was to to find her.
Yeah, I mean, you can understand where he's coming from. I'm sorry, Jason.
No, go ahead.
Like, he's one of these villains that we get in the MCU where you're kind of like, all right, this is a guy who was in a bad, he was bad. He wanted power and all this other stuff. He had these magical rings and stuff like that, which I want to talk about right after this, because there's obviously a big shift from the comic books and the rings themselves. But he fell in love with this woman, showed him a different way of life, took the rings off, like Tony had said, has his kids and everything like that, complete shift, and then she dies. She gets murdered. And he thinks, he's convinced that he can get his wife back. He's willing to move pretty much literally heaven and earth to get his wife back and everything. And he pushes his daughter away because it reminds him of his wife, and his wife is gone. We find out later in the movie, whatever, we can talk about it since we're going kind of like by characters in this. We can understand why he's upset with his son. He sent his son off to go do that and get revenge. But ultimately, he misses his wife. He wants the love of his life back, and he's going to do anything. And he's convinced that they're keeping her captive. Yeah. So he's going to destroy, like, even when he says, burn the place down. If they're not going to give her up, we're burning the damn place down. He doesn't care. He loves his wife, and that's who he's going to go save. He doesn't know he's being manipulated.
Right.
But that's
and it's clouding his judgment. And it's very similar. It's very similar to Thanos in Infinity War, where you see him as this like hauntingly kind of, look, my world was destroyed, my planet was destroyed, and this is why this has to happen. Now, obviously, you see in Endgame what a ruthless killer that he actually is, and what he was doing and what he was willing to do in order to get those stones and do what had to be done. But when he's telling his story to Gamora, when he's explaining to her why he is as emphatically desperate to get these stones, you understand. Like, I remember sitting there the first time in a theater, the first time meaning like the first screening of the first night. But like, I remember sitting there and I'm like, all right, like, that should make sense. Like, I get why he wants to do it. Like, I don't agree with him, but I mean, I understand where he's coming from. Yeah. And that's the same thing when Wu is like, he is so desperate, right, to believe that she's still alive and that she's just being held captive. And it's normally, if it was any other topic, he would be much more cunning and much more, suspicious of something like this. But because his wife, and because he's so desperate to get her back and get his whole family back to the way it was before she was killed, that he'll believe anything. And that's what really turns him in this point, and it ends up costing him his life.
Absolutely. And I want to focus on what you said too, because that's what I wanted to say was, this isn't just about him getting his wife back. This is about getting his family back and his life. Like, he was a guy who spent 1,000 years being a villain. And while on his path of villainy, he meets someone who makes him want to be a better person. And I think that's genuine. He's not lying about that. No. He puts the rings on.
Makes him want to be human. Because remember, he's basically like a god. And now
he's a god, right?
And by putting the rings away and having children and having a family, it's like this woman has brought him humanity.
Right. And it's also important to note, this guy lived 1,000 years, only had 2 children on purpose, right? And that's not an accident, right? Like, this, as you said, he lived as a god. He lived as a warlord. He met someone who inspired him to be better, inspired him to be human, who convinced him. And he says this, she convinced me that my past would not be an issue, that I could change. He genuinely wanted to change. He loved his wife. He loved his children. But his wife was his humanity. His wife was his link to this world. And this guy has lived
And his
Well,
wife was his weakness, technically,
his-
because that's
his-
who they went after.
Yes. But and then he lived 1,000 years. So the fact, of course, he didn't think he could change. And when they take his wife, they prove to him you can't change. You can't outrun your past.
Yep, your
And
past will always catch up with you.
right, and he slips back into his old ways, and because of that, he loses his kids. Because what does Shang-Chi say to him at the very end? We needed you when Mom died, and you chose the goddamn rings. And what does he do? He tries to weaponize his son and pushes away his daughter. Now, he loves his daughter. He loves his son. He does. I think that's evident. But he cannot be human without his wife. And so I really think he wants his humanity. He's fighting for his wife, but he's also fighting for his family and his humanity. I think in his mind, if I can get my wife back, then I can write things. I can have my kids with me. We can do things differently. So I think he is such an understandable villain. And I put it in quotes because he's not the villain of this movie at all.
No, he's not the villain in this movie. He's a villain somewhere along the timeline. Okay?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, of course.
100%.
Absolutely. There's no excusing that.
Nope.
Right, and I think at some point or another that will come up somewhere down the line again, because you saw in the post credit that they're looking into the origin of these things. So I don't think we've seen the last of Wenwu just yet, but I agree with you 100%. I feel like this plight of his, and this quest that he's on to find her is basically to restore his life to what it was before, to try to right the wrongs that he had done. And hey, look, I did this before and I made a mistake. I took the rings off. I could still be a father and be a husband and have the rings with me, and then I'll be able to protect everybody. And and that's what he's trying to do. He's just trying to desperately go back and change what he can't go back and change. Right. And I'll tell you right now, that scene where he takes that young Shang-Chi into that room and makes him point out who the men were.
Oh my God.
That was unbelievable.
No, that's a great scene.
I was like, kick the shit out of that guy, bro. Like, I was dying to see that.
And
I wanted to,
he destroys those guys too. When he points his arm and just, tell me who ordered the hit. I don't know. Okay. Boom. It's so cold blooded, but it's like, you killed my wife. I don't care about you.
Absolutely. Yeah. So a great performance by Tony Leung in that role, and yes, I am sad that we won't see this iteration of him, but I do think at some point with this, with the ending of Loki, that we will see at some point some type of variant of him somewhere along the line.
Interesting.
I hope so. I hope they bring Tony Leung back, because he's awesome. Again, I literally want to go and watch more movies with him in it. I don't just to see him, because I just enjoyed his performance. It was a real performance.
And let me tell you something. For the scene where he meets her, and I mean, in all honesty, could they have found a more beautiful woman to be?
Oh, she was. Yeah, she was gorgeous.
Yeah, she was perfect.
She was gorgeous.
And when I say beautiful, not just obviously her physical features, right? But the way she talked to them, and the way that she was explaining things in Chinese and in English, and it was a beautiful scene where she's talking to him. As a parent, you know what that's like, where you're trying to explain something to your child, and they're asking questions, and they're asking good questions. It's they could not. The casting in this film is phenomenal.
Agreed.
How do we feel about the rings being changed from actual finger rings to bracelet type things? I thought it was actually really cool. I thought it was a very smart idea, because the way that the visual that it allowed, when he's shooting off and he jumps and everything, and the way he uses them to fight and everything, I thought that was a huge change and a really, really smart one.
I agree.
I loved it.
I think visually it works. I couldn't imagine how it would work with rings, because in the comic, for those who don't know, they're 10 finger rings. The Mandarin wears 10 finger rings. I believe they come from space.
Same origin and everything. Yeah, same thing.
Canonically, right?
Yeah.
But I think this works so much better, because I think the rings work fine in the comic, but when you need something fast paced, and as you said, how he uses them, he's flying with them. He does this thing when he fights Shang-Chi at the end, where he hits him with the extended ring, and then the rings bring him back in, and he punches him. And it's like the way, and I think because again, this is a Marvel martial arts movie. This really reminded me a lot of Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon.
Yes, especially with the opening scene.
Yeah,
like,
absolutely. And I think like making them those rings just lends itself so much more to the fight choreography of a martial arts film, because it's more fluid. I don't know how you would do it with these as opposed to the bracelet. So I really liked it. I thought it was a great choice.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. I love the fact that they changed color between Wenwu and Shang-Chi. Is almost as like, well, the blue is for when you're using them for non-good, and they are amber or orange or gold when you're using them for good. So I do like the fact that they changed color between the two of them. I kind of liken them to Green Lantern's to the Green Lantern ring, is that they could become basically whatever the fuck he needs them for. Like he needs to hang on to the dragon, becomes a big claw. Needs to, he wants to use it as a rope, or he wants to use it as as a ram, or if he wants to, should fire one of them out, and or the way he eventually kills the dragon by sending them into the dragon, and they just blow the shit out of him. I mean, I think that the visuals of it were fantastic. I don't think that the finger rings would ever have worked in a movie like this. I think that they had to do something like this. And quite honestly, after the gauntlet and and having the stones on the hands,
that's a good point.
I think that this was a no-brainer, that it had to go to something like this, to bracelets. And I mean, really, and give all the credit again to Marvel. They know what works, and it looked fucking awesome. Like it really did. Like it really looked great.
And sorry.
I want to say one more thing about the Mandarin, and then I'm gonna shut up until we get to Aquafina. But his death scene, right, where he gets killed by the Soul Eater, or the death, whatever the thing's called, right?
Fing Fang Foom.
Was that Fing Fang Foom?
Yes. They just didn't give the name. They didn't give the name to it, but that's Fing Fang Foom.
That's what that's Fing Fang.
I thought Fing Fang Foom was a dragon.
No, I mean, it's a dragon. Yeah, it's a dragon thing. I mean, obviously, it looks kind of like, if you've seen Stranger Things, it kind of looks like the top of it. But
yeah, I guess I just got thrown off. But okay, Fing Fang Foom. When it devours his soul, what I really enjoyed was, I think he could have survived it. Like, he could have used the rings to save himself. But I think he realizes that he messed up. He did this. And he also, it pays off. He gives Shang-Chi the rings because he makes the decision, you know what? My time is done. I did this. I could save myself and get out of here, but do I have it in me to defeat this thing? I don't know. But I think my son does. Because he gives him that look. He gives him a look, and then he relinquishes the rings. Like, he sends them off. He makes the sacrifice. So I think he really does redeem himself at the end. And I just think it's a great moment. That moment where he looks at his son, the son looks at him, and the rings go off, and there's the understanding, and then he's just dead. Like, it's a beautiful death scene.
Well, I think it ties back into the moment earlier in the film.
Yes.
Where Shang-Chi is asking him about the rings, and he tells him that they can be yours one day when you show me that you are powerful enough. You just fought me.
Yeah.
You showed me what you can do. Now you've earned it. You showed me that you're powerful enough to handle them. Here they are. Now go ahead and essentially defeat Fing Fang Foom with the fucking rings. And, he does so. I wanted to shift it to Shang-Chi. Let's talk about that. And especially, like, we first meet him, I think there's a lot of very cool moments where we find out he's, a regular dude and stuff like that. He's parking cars and stuff, and I think that's really cool. And we get him singing, doing karaoke and stuff like that with Hotel California and all that.
I love that. Like, him and Aquafina, where it's like, it's late. We got work in the morning. We should just go home.
All right.
Or and then you smash cut, and they're just like drunk singing. Singing karaoke is such a great scene.
It is. But the scene on the bus. When we find out what Shang-Chi can actually do, and he reveals it, and it's not some hidden talent that I had that I didn't know about even myself, like that whole shit. he was just hiding it on the low, and we find that out. So apparently that whole fight scene on the bus was the pitch that was in the pitch to make this film. That was kept in there, which I think is really cool to see a filmmaker get to take that from pitch and it made it into the film. That fight scene is ridiculous.
That's the best fight scene in the movie. I mean, and there are great fight scenes in this movie, but that bus fight scene, oh my God. Like, there's so much going on, and it's funny, and it's action-oriented, and something I didn't catch until my second run. He tries, like Shang-Chi just keeps saying, no, it's not me. I don't know what you're talking about. He only gets set off when someone hits Aquafina, his best friend. Yep. And that's when you see him, and you actually do see it. Because when I first saw it, I was like, did he not realize he had these powers? Like, because I didn't know anything about this character. Yeah. But watching it the second time was like, no, there's a moment where he makes a decision that I'm putting an end to this. Mm-hmm. And it's when they hit her. And I really like that because they're great friends. And it's not a romance. I love that it's not a romance. I love that it might wind up being a romance in the future, and that's cool. But it wasn't a romance in this movie, and I liked that a lot because they were just good friends. And then everything that follows, you got the guy taking the video, like, yo, this is your guy, whatever his name was. And I love it because
he was hysterical.
I took a couple months of Taekwondo, so I think I'm gonna rate this fight as it goes along. And then
either of you realize that that's not the first time he's been in a Marvel movie?
He was in Spider-Man: Homecoming.
Oh, was he?
He was the guy that was by. It tells him, hey, Spider-Man, do a flip and all of that.
Do a flip. And then he's like, all right.
I didn't realize it was the same guy.
That's the same guy. And I love the guy. But he was such an important part of that scene because he added the comic relief that you needed. Because look, if you were going to try to make it jokey with Shang-Chi, right? It was going to people were going to say like, this is a goddamn Jackie Chan movie. Like you couldn't do that.
Yeah.
So
Agreed.
if you're going to add humor to the part where he's kicking somebody's ass, it had to come from somebody else. And that guy provided all the comic relief that you needed in that scene. And I don't know about you guys, but I actually got nervous because when I watched that movie the first time and that scene on the bus, and I'm saying, bro, how is it possible that we're 15 minutes into this movie and we just had that scene? How could you possibly top that?
Like, I want to say,
is the rest of the movie going to suck now? Because, and I had thoughts back to Suicide Squad, the original one, where it's the first 50 minutes, it's like fucking awesome. And then all of a sudden, 20 minutes after that, you're like, I can't believe that I'm watching the same movie. And I was afraid that we were going to go down that road. But watching it from there, it just takes off. And it was so great. It really was.
That's the jumping off point.
Yeah.
That really was. And what a unbelievable jumping off point it was, because you got full, like, what this dude could do right off the bat.
Everything.
And can I just say also that Simu, oh my God, bro, could he have played this part any better? He is the most genuine, unassuming,
I agree,
origin Avenger that there was. Every other one, think about this. Every other origin story, right? Everybody had what's the word I'm looking for? An ulterior motive. You know what I'm saying? Like Steve Rogers wanted to go into the service. Like he was willing to do anything possible in order to do so, right?
Steve wanted to be a hero no matter what it took.
Yeah.
Right. Tony Stark was just an egotistical maniac at the time, and then he just, because of his PTSD, he decided to become Iron Man. And then you look at each one down the line and why they came into the position that they came into. All the origin stories we've got, this guy is as reluctant as anybody.
Yeah.
Like, he didn't want any of this. Like, he just wanted to go along, parking cars, hanging out with Katie, and going and doing karaoke. That's all he wanted. He just wanted to live his life, and that's it. And then he realized, and that point that you're talking about, when she gets pushed, that was the point. He knew when that guy came up and asked him for the pendant. He knew who sent them.
He knew exactly what was going on. I realized that the second time around, he knew exactly what was going on, who they were, who sent them. Like he was just hoping that he could talk his way out of it.
That's right. And he was doing it for two reasons. One, because he was naive enough to think that, if I just pretend like I don't know what you're talking about, you'll just go away. And two, he didn't want to out himself to Katie.
Yes, exactly.
That was the other thing. So he was like, nah, man.
You got to remember how they met was he was about to get into a fight and she didn't think that he could, like in high school, and she didn't think that he could hold his own. This is where Hotel California comes in, is she jumped in the middle and started just singing Hotel California, and this guy just got confused and walked away. And she's like, yeah, the art of confusion works great on stupid people. So, like, she thought that but, like, of course, now we know, like, that guy, Shang-Chi could have fucking wiped the floor with whoever, I don't care who it was.
Yeah, anybody, essentially.
But that was part of the reason why he was trying to talk his way out of it, because he didn't want to get outed. Like he knew at that moment his entire life was about to change, and he was just holding on to their life, saying, "Please, I don't want to have to. Don't make me kill you. Like I don't want to do this." And then he does, and then he kicks their ass, and then the dude, with the
Razor Fist.
Holy shit!
I love that guy. That guy's
Razor
great.
Fist is great.
Bro, I knew that was coming, right? Because obviously
you got this, bro.
Yo, yeah, man, you got this. And then that thing comes out, he goes, "Yeah, man, never mind."
Yeah.
It was so well done. It really was. It was a little bit of like a I don't want to say like a little bit of Jet Li in there, and it was a little bit of Speed with the bus coming apart and she having to jump behind the wheel, and and again you got the comic relief with the with the guy with the video, the TikTok guy, whatever. But I mean, I just, that scene was just so great. And I was genuinely nervous that we weren't going to get anything even close to it, because I was like, how could you top this? How could you possibly top this scene?
When he becomes Busboy. He becomes Busboy.
Another comic relief guy right there.
That guy actually,
this movie.
That guy is a comedian. Like, so I told you, I saw this with my in-laws. Who are Filipino Chinese for the most, so and they know a lot of these actors and stuff. And so when we got back, my brother-in-law was like, did you ever see this guy stand up? And I was like, no. And we sat there for a half an hour watching this guy stand up. It's great. So that guy who says, "Oh, Busboy," like he's a stand-up comedian who's really, really funny.
Bro, when he said I speak ABCs,
I speak ABCs. I love that. I love that.
I nearly fell on the floor. I'm like, dude, this guy is great. Like his haircut, the whole look of him. It was perfect. Again, you're going into this, the unknown. What you're going in, you're in this creepy elevator. You're like, what are they going to find in this building? And then this guy shows up right off the bat. So just fantastic.
So.
Fantastic.
I talked about this with Jason. He'll be back in a second. So when they get to the Fight Club, in the fights when they're walking to the main event where Shang-Chi eventually ends up fighting his sister, and then we see Wong fighting the Abomination, which is great. There's also they walk through these other fights, and there is a leftover fighter from Iron Man 3 who's in there from the Extremis Project. He's all charging up and everything like that, and is fighting one of the Black Widows who was freed and stuff like that. I thought that was a really cool tie-in, but again, doesn't weigh heavy on it. If you missed it, it didn't affect your viewing of the film. But again, if you're an MCU fan, it's a pretty awesome Easter egg, especially following up now that it ends up following up Black Widow like that. I thought that was actually really cool.
And ties into Iron Man 3,
and again ties it back to Iron Man 3. So I thought that was cool. So I guess Shang-Chi in general, since again we're just talking about characters, we're not going to do step by step for the movie, because again, if you're watching us now, we're assuming that you've seen the film. So we don't have to hold your hand and go through the whole film. But
if you're watching this, you've probably seen the film.
I would hope so. I mean, and if you haven't, then you should stop and then come back and check us out another time, because you're gonna get spoilers. I mean, there's spoilers. But no, the character of Shang-Chi in general is an awesome addition. I can't wait to see him continue to grow as a hero and fight alongside, because I mean, in the comics he is an Avenger at times. I mean, again, the Avengers roster changes like 1,000 times, so whatever. At some point, Shang-Chi is an Avenger. Speaking of people who are Avengers or Avengers, backup plans, we have Jason is back with us again.
That's right. Sorry about that. I've been having internet issues. I had to just go reset my modem. I was anticipating issues. I didn't want to go out like I did the last time. Yeah, so I saw the wavering. I was like, I texted you, Ed. I was like, let me pop off, fix my modem, and I'm back.
We were just talking about Shang-Chi in general, the character. I can't wait to see him fight alongside Captain Marvel, Spider-Man, and we'll get to it. I guess when we talk about the post-credit scenes, the Hulk and Thor and everyone else.
Yeah,
that's going to be pretty sick, because I mean, fight hand-to-hand combat without having powers. I mean, the dude can hold his own with anyone.
He doesn't even need those 10 rings, but now he's got the 10 rings.
Yes,
so, yeah,
now it's crazy.
I want to see. Yeah, I can't wait to see him as an Avenger. Like, he's the actor is fantastic. He's charming. He's funny. He's hot, but he also is very like humble. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like someone they've got all this stuff going on, but the character is like, park cars, it's fun, And even at the end, when they're having that conversation with their friend, you could see, he just had this whole thing where he saved the world, but he just goes back to being Sean, talking to his friends in a bar,
Yeah.
And the actor's fantastic. This character's fantastic. I can't wait to see him interact with our heroes, like on a bigger scale.
Yeah, exactly. Because I mean, that's obviously what they set up in a post-credit scene, but we'll get to that in a second.
Yeah.
Aquafina. So Katie. Let's talk about Katie in general.
I love her. I love her. Sorry.
No, it's fine. I'm not overly familiar with Aquafina. I mean, I've seen her on SNL and stuff like that. I did not see Crazy Rich Asians. I don't watch shows at Nora from Queens that she has the show on Comedy Central. I thought there's some people who complain about her. I know Bear is one of them. Like, he's like, I don't like her. Whatever.
Yeah, well,
he likes
Thor 3, Bear. Thor 3.
Yeah, he does. He hates Thor Ragnarok, and he likes Battlefield Earth. So whatever.
I love you, Bear. I'm just kidding. I don't care.
Exactly. We always love you, Bear.
Yeah.
We always do. It's fine.
I'm just being a dick because you're insulting my woman. Sorry.
I thought she was. I really like her in this film. I think she's hilarious in this movie.
I did too. I think she's really funny. I think she's really charming. I love she's comic relief, but also part of the action. Like in one scene, she's betting against Shang-Chi and making a lot of money and going, while in a fight club, and he's like, oh no, I didn't bet against you. But like later on, she's like taking the important, like almost killing blow to Fing Fang Foom. Like, and you see growth. And I like the fact that she is someone she's very Americanized, because we get a lot in these movies, and in Black Panther, we always have to have like the American when you go to another countries that be the stand-in for Americans to really be able to get into it. And that was the guy who played the Hobbit in Black Panther, right? But I like that Aquafina is American Asian, but she's like, yeah, I'm very Americanized. Mom, you're American too. And yeah, my Chinese is garbage. So I like that our stand-in was American and Asian. Mm-hmm. That really hit home for me. I really enjoyed that. And I just thought that she was just overall, like, they set character beats up, and they keep paying off, like even with the bus scene, her in the bus scene, they set that up 10 minutes earlier where I like to drive fast cars. I'm good at it. And we see her do it. And that way, when we get to that bus scene, no one's sitting there going, well, how the hell could you drive a bus like that? No, we just saw what she can do. We know. And so I just think it was I don't know. I really enjoyed her. And she's one of my new celebrity crushes, guys. I admitted that to my wife. I kind of have a crush on Aquafina now.
Okay. Nice.
The first time I saw her was in Jumanji 2.
Oh, yeah. Which I keep forgetting that she's in.
Yes, she's in Jumanji 2, and she's great. You know, she was really good in that. It's not in it for a long time, but when she's on the screen, she's great. And I remember saying, like, who the hell is this girl? And I thought she was funny. I thought again she was charming, and then I get to see her in this film, and when I saw the coming attractions, I'm like, oh, please don't tell me this is going to be some over the top, bullshit or whatever with this girl or whatever. And she was perfect. She really was. She was. You could just tell, like there's no romance between the two in this. Like you said before, it doesn't seem to be there. It seems like it's more brother sister kind of a thing.
Yeah, agreed.
It's like a little bickering here, a little this, a little that, whatever. Like to me, that's really what this is about. Like they're like super close, and the fact that that when Wong comes out and tells her, "No, you too, you're coming."
Yeah.
Right. Like that's like
love it.
It's awesome because it's like, okay, you guys are a team. Like it's Shang-Chi and Katie. I love it. Like she's got like a sidekick. And you're right. She has tremendous growth in this movie. She's telling her mom and her grandma that, look, I don't want to do anything else. I just want to do this, and I just want to, park cars, and that's just what I want to do. I mean, maybe you'll get to. She tells the younger brother, maybe you'll get to be, get to be me someday.
Live the dream.
Yeah, you get to live the dream of going and parking cars all day long. So like it's just. She was funny. It wasn't over the top at any point. She had some really heartfelt moments, like when she starts to go do the archery stuff, and she's trying to say, she's like, yeah, whenever I start to get good at something, I'm like, I'm just gonna screw it up, so let's go try something new, and I just leave that alone. But then she starts to see, like, hey, look, I can do something. I can do something good, and I can be, of value here. And that's what she does. And, it took that confidence, that taking that shot, when there was no one else around. The guy who I forget his name now. I saw the movie twice. I can't remember his name. But the guy who taught her, and he tells her, "Don't die." Come out.
Don't
die. Come out here.
Great moment.
And he tells her, he's like, "You can do it. Don't miss. You can do it." And she believes in herself. And that's really kind of what she was saying before. Like, she would get good at something and she'd be like, yeah, but I'm not really going to be good at this for the long run. So let me just go on to something else. And it was all about confidence. And the fact that she was able to take that shot and make it, no less, showed her that she is capable of much more than she gives herself credit for. And that was kind of the point with her. Sean, or Shang-Chi, he was doing that because he felt like it. Like, that was just like, I have all of this great talent, and I don't want to use it. I just want to park cars. I want to be just somebody who's normal.
I want
to be a regular guy. And, I have these incredible abilities, and I don't really want any part of it. I just want to be a normal guy. And she, is the perfect person. She's like, this is what I want. I just want to be a regular dude, and I can be a regular guy around her. But even I think that was part of the reason why he didn't want to explain what had happened and what he did and how he got to the point that he was at. And he was afraid that she wasn't going to like him anymore, or she wasn't going to want to be with him anymore. When he realized that it didn't really matter, that she, she's in it with him and she's his partner no matter what, then at that point, it was almost like, and you could see it when he was telling her on the plane, it was almost like a weight was lifted off of him at that point.
Yes.
And it was stopped, because up to that point, from the bus to the point where he was telling that story, everything was very, very, he was very serious, and he was, trying to explain it. And then after that, and she was
beef or vegan.
Yeah. And then, again, that was perfect timing right there. But at that point, he could start joking around again. Because then he was like, put the headphones on. She's like, oh, why you just change your name from, Mike to
Sean
Mike
to Sean? Yeah.
I love that. I love her, like, taking the piss out of him. Like, Sean? Right. From Shang, really? And you wonder how your dad found you? Like,
right. And he was just like, puts the headphones on. He's like, I can't hear you.
Yeah.
And she's like, you can hear me, goddamn it.
They got a great relationship. Their
chemistry was really good.
Chemistry was fantastic. And honestly, like I said, he just, you could tell that, the different points, and that he what he was afraid of. He was afraid that he was going to lose her because she was going to look at him and be like, oh my God, I don't want to be around someone who's who's got these extraordinary talents, and I just
a murderer. Remember, he was hiding because
he also murdered someone.
Yeah, that's why he was trying to hide and like put these things away and put his life behind him, and he just wanted to be an everyday person. Right. Yeah, a normal guy. I mean, you could see where he's coming from.
Right. She was fantastic, though. I loved it.
Yeah. So let's talk about the sister.
I loved her.
She was really good. She was really, really good.
Yeah,
I mean, she could do the action. You can get the idea where she was, she was good. She wasn't meant to be like necessarily a villain, but you could also see where she will do some fucked up things. She was angry, and you could understand why she was angry. Her motives were all there, and also heartfelt moments with Shang-Chi when that needed to happen. And then at the end, we find out she's basically because she said there's a power vacuum. She decided to jump on it, take it, and she's now the leader of the Ten Rings.
And what does she say in the halfway through the movie? If my father wouldn't let me into his empire, I was going to build my own. Well, you know what? Now there's a power vacuum in your father's empire, and you see that you are the heir apparent, and she is. And she takes it over. Now we don't know what she can do with it. I'm still not 100% that she's a villain. I mean, she did the right thing here, but who knows what she's going to do with it? Like maybe she's just going to use the 10 rings to underground fight clubs. But I don't think she's going to be as bad as her dad was at his worst, But
she doesn't have the power that he has, obviously, either.
Well, she doesn't have the rings, but she's got the army behind her. I mean, there are lots of crime bosses who don't have 10 magical rings that still are very, very powerful. And I think that's what we're looking at with her. She doesn't have his power supernaturally, but she has his natural power now. And Ed, you pointed this out when we saw it, because I saw it for the first time with you, that it says the 10 rings will be back. Not Shang-Chi will be back, but the 10 rings. And it makes me curious how it's obvious, it's important how she's going to use this power going forward in future MCU movies. And now I'm curious to see how. Is she going to be a villain? Is she going to be an anti-hero? I don't think she's going to be like a Shang-Chi. Shang-Chi's a hero. Like that's who he is. But I think she's at best an anti-hero. So I'm kind of curious where they go with it.
I think it's interesting too that since I guess we are talking about the post-credit scene now, we can get into that. Then we'll talk about the mid-credit scene,
which I really want to talk about.
I want to save that for last also. But the post-credit scene, so that's when we get to see where she becomes, the leader. She takes over the 10 rings, and I think it's interesting. And Jason, I know I point this out, is that when they show her at that shot that pulls away and everything like that, the key takeaways that I got was, number one, that was the same shot that when we first see, when he's got when we first see him in his throne and he's leaning back on his throne, and they pull back and they show everything. The identical shot is shown when she is there, and then they also show how her art and her graffiti and stuff kind of like that is on the outside of the walls. She always made the point of saying that her father wouldn't train her because she was a female, but now her army, and he had a whole male army. Her army is male and female, and they're fighting together. And she's like, all right, I'm going to take your 10 rings army, and I'm going to make it the way I want to make it. And I'm going to make it my way. And that's really what you get from that whole shot.
Yeah.
And that's what is interesting, Jason, so we were saying, Tony, I'm sure you were, I want to hear your thoughts on it, is that she's making it her way. So we don't know what that means. We don't know if that means she's going to pick up the crime boss thing and go that, because we saw she'll do an underground fight club. She'll get her hands dirty if she needs to, whatever it has to happen. Or she's going to use it to try to do good, because she's got Razor Fist as her sidekick and everything. She's got everybody lined up. She's got her guy from the fight club that's there.
And that's what I was going to point out. I noticed it the second time around because you mentioned it, so I really watched for it. And I saw like that first scene was mirrored in the last. But the interesting thing is, on one side is Razor Fist, and on the other side is her guy, the comedian. And so there's a split. You know what I mean? It's like, so you don't know, is she going to go her way? Because she wasn't doing it. Like, she was running underground fight clubs. Like, she wasn't. It was illegal, but it wasn't bad, right? Going back to Stargirl, right? It was illegal, but it wasn't evil. She wasn't really hurting anyone who wasn't okay to be hurt, right? Whereas her father victimized people and hurt people genuinely. And so now we get this shot of her like her dad, but on one side is her old life, and on the other side is her dad's old life, and we're curious, so where is this going? And I think visually they set that up purposefully.
Yep, definitely. Yeah, I think that obviously we're gonna have to see where she goes with it. I saw the comparison right off the bat. As soon as she sat in the throne, with her arm like back, I immediately flashed back to that scene earlier in the movie where he was doing the same thing. And yeah, she's going to make it in her own image. What she's going to do, I mean, look, after having the relationship that she had at the end of the movie with Shang-Chi, I can't see her going and trying to go up against him or the Avengers. I think that she's going to try to carve out her own thing. I don't know if that means that they're going to do, a 10 Rings, some type of movie, MCU show, a Disney Plus show, maybe with 10 Rings.
That'd be cool. I'd watch that for sure.
Yeah, like I would like to see more of her. I'd like to see more of her relationship, obviously, with with her sidekick there, and Razor Fist was great. So I mean, I could see them going down that road. I do like the fact that they're starting to do this now. Like it used to be at the end of the James Bond movies when I was a kid. It was like James Bond will return in, and then it would tell you the name of the next movie right then and there. Like this is the next movie we're going to make. So I like the fact that they did it now at the end of Loki, and now they've done it at the end of Shang-Chi. So like it's they're giving you little hints of where they're going to go. I don't think that they can make a movie out of the 10 Rings, obviously. Unless
I don't see that.
I just can't see it happening. So I'm thinking more that it's going to be a Disney Plus thing, and I would be interested in that. Obviously, I'd like to see where they go with that. So. It's going to be. They're definitely on the right track with that, and I gathered the same thing. She's going to remake this in her own image, but what she's going to do with it, that's what's going to be told in that next story.
Yeah. Well, Marvel's been doing this for a long time, though. They've been doing Iron Man will return, Captain America will return, Thor will return. They usually do put that at the end. And the interesting thing was in Infinity War. They put Thanos will return.
Mm-hmm.
And, well, they didn't give them title of the next movie. Like, Tony, I know what you were saying. Me and Jason are big Bond fans, and we're going to be seeing No Time Die.
We are.
We got to take a turn. But you're right. That's in the big reveal would be of the next title of the film. Marvel would cut it short and say, Captain America will return. And that's pretty much just
I feel like they did that early. I think they did that early on when, I think people were like, is this just like a one-off story? Are they, but I think that they were trying to drop hints that they were moving towards that interconnected storyline.
Yeah.
And I feel like it stopped right before the Avengers came out. And then I don't feel like we saw it again after that.
We do our rewatch. We can take a peek back and see some of those.
I'm still waiting for that, by the way.
We got our plates full for a little while, and we will have our own when Granny's Peach Tea returns in a few minutes, because we will reveal what the next film will be.
That's true.
And I don't think either one of you realize what's coming next.
I don't. I don't know what our next thing is.
I'm very afraid.
I think Jason's more afraid of this one than you are.
Yes.
Oh no. But to cap off the Shang-Chi part of it, I just want to say I was also pretty excited to see that Michelle Yeoh was in this. She was in Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. She was also in Tomorrow Never Dies.
Yeah, I didn't realize that. She's also in Star Trek Discovery too. She's one of the captain on that. She's really good. I loved her in this.
Yeah, when I started popping this, and again in the beginning of the film, we were like, it reminds me very reminiscent of Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. I'm like, this is awesome that she's involved and she's the aunt when they get there. So I thought that was also really cool. The last thing let's touch on.
We got to touch on
Trevor Slattery. Yeah, that's the one thing we didn't get to yet.
We got to talk about the elephant in the room, gentlemen.
The most controversial part of Iron Man 3 was here, and I'm going to tell you the truth. I think this gives me a lot of closure.
Me too.
To Iron Man 3. I got closure. I did get my closure. It's fine. I thought it was hilarious. A lot of things he did. This whole interaction with what was the thing? Morris. Which, by the way, Disney is selling as a stuffed toy, a plush toy now.
And I might buy it. But it's just the fact that he was pure comic relief. This movie got Ben Kingsley to return as the fake Mandarin to be pure comic relief for about 45 minutes. It was perfect. Like when after the fight, when he's lying down and everyone and you're supposed to think he's dead. And I knew he wasn't dead. I was like, no way, he's fucking faking, right? But you think he's dead, and Morris goes up. He's like, I'm not dead. I'm just acting, love. Just play dead. It's a performance. Like he's just so funny. Like I didn't realize Ben Kingsley could be this funny.
Guys, in all seriousness, the story he told about the Planet of the Apes
was hilarious. Hilarious.
It literally may have been the funniest fucking thing that Marvel has ever put out. Like really. And the two of them in the backseat are like, wait, no. You thought that the apes were actually I knew that they were just they had taught them to act that way.
Yes.
And if they could act that way, well, imagine what I could bring to the world. And I was like, oh my God,
it's so good.
It was so perfect.
It was so good.
So perfect.
And I'm so glad that they kept it. Like I like to think that he just stays in Taolo, like
that's what I think. I definitely think he stays there.
Because at the end he's dressed like them. He's doing the ceremony, like he's acting like you had moments where he's like playing with the kids and stuff. Like I hope he becomes a thing in the Shang-Chi movies. Like
yes, I kind of hope he doesn't. I can't believe I'm saying that, but it's true.
Right? Who knew that we would appreciate Trevor Slattery ever?
No, I'm at the top of that list.
I will tell you right now that that Ed was completely devastated by Trevor Slattery originally, and now that he is where he is now, to hear him say that he wants to see more of him just absolutely warms my heart.
Well, I got my Mandarin though. I got my live action Mandarin now, so now we've made peace.
And I think
we got a goddamn good one, by the way.
We got the perfect Mandarin. I think we could say that. This is the best Mandarin we could have gotten.
Yeah, I can agree with that. And just to come full circle before we wrap, I will say that I didn't feel that way. I was bummed. Well, let me say this. I was bummed that we didn't get to see the Mandarin and Tony face off because, again, that's pretty much Spider-Man, Green Goblin, Batman, Joker, essentially to that. But Jason, I'll admit, you made me see it in a different way, and I kind of still take a moment to think about it, and you're right. We never would have gotten the Mandarin that we got in this film. I won't say that fully. I wouldn't have been curious to see what this guy would have done against Tony Stark.
Me too, absolutely.
It would have been interesting to see, but I'm glad the payoff was here, and the MCU did redeem itself. We got our great version of live-action Mandarin, and I'm good with that.
Right, and I think the MCU made us a promise with that one-off. I really do. Like that one-off because they know how much people hated it. And look, I really enjoy Iron Man 3 as a movie, despite the Mandarin stuff. So don't misunderstand. I'm not an Iron Man 3 apologist where like I say the Mandarin stuff is cool in that movie. It's not. It's if it wasn't for that, it would have been a fantastic movie. It's an okay movie because of that, in my opinion. Mm-hmm. But I just think there's a lot there to really appreciate if you can get past it. Having said all of that, this version of the Mandarin was just perfect in my opinion. And there's no way I would have seen this in a Tony Stark movie because that's not what those Iron Man movies were. And it would have been good. That I would have really enjoyed to see that Mandarin. I would have enjoyed to see Ben Kingsley because he does a frightening job when you really think he's the Mandarin. But if he really was the Mandarin, we wouldn't have gotten this. And as curious as I am to see how that would have played out, I would trade knowing how that would have played out to have this version of the Mandarin be canon, because I just think it's such a perfect human portrayal of the villain, and you don't get that often with villains.
Yeah,
agreed.
I agree.
I also would like to commend Marvel for actually going completely out of their way on multiple occasions to right the wrong that they realized that they made when they let Shane Black make that fake Mandarin. That not only did they go back and do that short saying that there was another Mandarin, right? And
that was the promise to us.
Right, it was the promise that we will fix this. and then by going back and doing this again. And I think that other studios, not just comic, but just in general, I think other studios can go and take this as an example. As look, you give the fans what they want, and they will give you what you want, which is they will spend money, and you give them a quality product. And not to get off track, but if you saw exactly, DC, they decided that they were going to right the wrong and allow Zack Snyder to finish his version of Justice League. It got great reviews. It got great streaming numbers when it came out onto HBO Max. It hits Blu-ray this week, which if anybody is subscribed to HBO Max, you have it for the rest of your life. And it now is the number one selling Blu-ray movie in the country, and it's outselling the number one from before 5-1. So there is something to be said about a studio going and righting a wrong, and giving people what they want, and people are actually like, thank you for giving me this, and now I'm going to reward you because I'm going to give you my money. So Marvel has done that extremely well. They don't make many mistakes, but this one that they made, they righted it, and they did it more than once to make sure that everybody was happy with it. And I think that there is something to be said about that.
100% agree.
Well said. Well said. All right. So I think that pretty much wraps us up for this week on Granny's PhD. Thank you for joining us, Tony. Thanks for coming back. It was
Tony,
great to have
we
you back
man.
in the fold.
I apologize. I have, it's between my still trying to move out project is still happening, and my children are very, very into sports. At this point, they're both in multiple sports, and it's like it is so
family
time
first.
consuming.
It really is so time consuming. So I apologize, but I love you guys, and we'll continue to do this, and I will I'd be much more diligent about trying to get my shit in order.
It's all good, dude. I'm
Fair
glad
enough.
you can make this one.
It's great to have you here tonight, man. I missed you.
Yeah, I missed you guys too.
So thanks for joining us tonight on Pop Culture Pros. If you're on Facebook and this is where you're watching us, join the Granny's Peach Tea Facebook group. You can check it out. We share a bunch of stuff that just doesn't make the cut on the show because, we're at over 2.5 hours. We got a lot of stuff to cover. So we are, we got that. Join the daily conversation. It seems to be a lot of fun. Check out Pop Culture Pros. Join that Facebook group as well. If you're checking us out on YouTube, you can go ahead and subscribe to Pop Culture Pros. You can check out our playlist from past episodes, if there's anything we covered in the past, and future stuff as well. Instagram, follow Pop Culture Pros. Twitter, follow Pop Culture Pros as well. And then go ahead and just keep following it. Follow it everywhere you go. And we got a bunch of
but don't follow it to the bathroom because that's not cool.
That's a bad idea.
Yeah, don't follow it to the bathroom. If you want to watch our show in the can, knock yourself out.
No, you can watch us in the bathroom.
You're going to be on the you're going to be on the can for a while. I'm just going to tell you right now.
That's solid advice, Jason. Very good.
That's good. Look, there are 3 things I learned as a kid: never follow anyone to the bathroom, and I'll give you the next 2 when they're appropriate.
And I look forward to that.
Yes. Check us out. If you're into sports, we got plenty of sports shows to go. You got the Empire 6-1 show, who goes in and covers the Yankees. You got Put Into Books that covers the Mets.
Officially endorsed by Batman, by the way.
This is true.
Batman
officially endorsed.
Well, in the sense that I was having a conversation with the boss man about what Batman does in the bathroom with his cell phone, and boss man Faraci said he watches Pop Culture Pros, and I said I think he's a big fan of Put It in the Books and Granny's Peach Tea. So officially canon on this show anyway. Batman loves this show and Put It in the Books.
All right.
And there are 2 bathroom references on Granny's Peach Tea this week. So
in 5 minutes, jeez, wow, this is really toilet humor. Wow,
wow, you went for it.
All right, I'm gonna shut up now, Ed. Sorry.
Yeah, if you're into the Giants, check out Faraci and the boys at the We Stomped You Out show. If you're into wrestling, check out Tim and Eric on Just Too Sweet. Get more of Tim. Check out Shooting the Sith. He's got his own Star Wars show now that's rolling on. You got Eric from A to Z, who covers everything from A to Z on Monday nights as well. And we will let you guys know when we're going to be back next week because Wednesday is going to be tough, a short turnaround as well. We will pick a night. We'll let everyone know. We will promote it. And next week, since we are getting a new release on October 1st.
Oh, no.
I knew it was coming.
We will be covering Venom.
Oh, you were right. No.
Yeah, we're gonna be.
Right.
We can't do Venom Let There Be Carnage without going back to take a look back at Venom. So that means Jason is gonna finally have to see Venom.
I've put it off for so long.
Now, well guess what?
We got to do a watch party for that.
Tony,
you're able to do that.
You're going to be on for this, right? Because you're our Venom enthusiast. You love this movie.
He has to be. This is the premise of Granny's Peach Sticky.
Yeah, you can't not be here.
No. I am fully in on Venom.
Okay,
and I have my Let There Be Carnage tickets also for opening night. So
Nice.
I'm set. So
okay.
I have mine on.
All right.
I have mine also.
All right. As long as you're going to be
about this one.
Tony, I now know how you feel when we did Suicide Squad.
Yes.
I now know how you feel when we did Suicide Squad, and I deserve every lick of this. So I'll take it, and I'll watch Venom, and we'll talk about it next week.
Bro, we did Captain America. I mean, we did all of this crazy shit.
All right, yeah.
I had to watch all this stuff, and you can't complain about Venom because Venom is worlds better than either of those films.
We'll see.
I'm gonna bite my tongue on that until we talk about it because I have my own thoughts about Venom. So I'm gonna save them for next time.
But you know what, Tony? I'm glad we're having this moment because again, I've been doing this to you guys for a while, and it is about time I got my comeuppance. And you know what? I've never seen this movie, and I might enjoy it. I'm gonna go in with an open mind.
I'm gonna go on a limb here, and I'm gonna say that you're gonna like it more than you think.
Okay. All right. Let's and you might be right. I will.
Listen, you're gonna have plenty of problems, but I'm telling you right now, I think you're gonna like it more than you think.
And you might be right. You absolutely might be right. And if you are, I will admit it wholeheartedly right here next week.
Okay, I'm excited for this. I really am
curious to see how it shakes out.
So am I. I can't wait.
I'm trying in my mind. I'm trying to figure out if I'm trying to guess how Jason's gonna feel about this guy. I seem to have Jason's taste in movies nailed down pretty good.
You do.
I think Jason's gonna land on my side a little bit more on this one, but we'll see. We'll see how it goes. We don't know.
We're gonna see.
You guys are on opposite spectrums when it comes to Suicide Squad. So
no. We don't always agree.
We don't, but we are very similar with our Spider-Man love, and I think that's why I avoided the movie, and I'm willing to bet that's why Eddie doesn't like the movie because it's Venom without Spider-Man. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So that's but you know what? As always, I'm gonna go in with an open mind. And if I feel I was wrong, I'm not gonna stick to my guns. I'm gonna tell you guys I was wrong. So we'll have that discussion next week. Also next week we're gonna continue on Hassling the Hoff.
We will get back to Hassling the Hoff. We promise. We will get back to that. We'll have a brand new set of shows to talk about. What If and Titans, and we're down to 2 CW shows now, so it's getting down. But we have a movie next week, so we'll let everyone know what's up, and we'll see you guys next week. All right, take it easy, guys. Peace.